Yeah, Prophet Marshall Occurrence. So I'm gonna just on this video. I'm gonna just be moving around the board a lot. Thank you for those. Once again, thank you for Coco Wilburn for supporting me. I appreciate every offering that you give. Thank you for that. It's taken around the world literally to like the last offering you gave me. I put that in Mexico and Colombia, South America, because I can off the exchange rate I can make it like part of it was like $35. And then the other part was like $18,000 in Colombia. You know, this that kind of is a punchline for my next message. What it's going to be is me being a war genius. I'm a war genius. You know what I'm saying? And it's because God has empowered me. It's not my own abilities, I don't believe. I believe I'm in this position because God put me in this position of being a war genius. He empowered me to move as a war genius. So I went and just looked up the definition of war genius, but I didn't feel like sitting down and writing it right after I got out the shower. You just feel fresh, and I don't feel like getting into a tedious writing surge. I just kind of wanted to come and relax and kind of do a introduction to what I'm gonna be talking about, which is being a war genius. I always thought of myself as a war hog, and I think that's not really one and the same. The war hog might be more on the ground level, but I skimmed over what a war genius is, and it deals with more than just the term genius. It's also what the genius is applied to war, which means basically you got war smarts, which is beyond just obviously intellect. It's beyond the brains. It's about more than the brains. Things that apply to war in the battlefield and everything, and intuition, which was one of them. One of the characteristics: strong intuition and courage and boldness, and that's all. That's just kind of give you some ideas of what makes a person a war genius. It's not just intelligence or even just strategy in itself in war. It's also intellect. I mean, all the characteristics of war, just like on another level, souped up. So me, just like I was saying about the offering, working with the offering, me working with the offering has been a very spiritual war genius move. It's been a war genius move. It tremendously put us in a whole different space, literally, in this country, in this world. If you don't know, and this is for educational purposes, not for any bragging purposes. I only talk about things in terms of rank, for rank reasons and educational reasons. Okay, so I sent money out to the Middle East before this war even happened, and the Middle East contacted me and they let me know they got the money and everything, and it wasn't about trying to provoke something to happen over there or anything like that. Everything was normal before the war. As far as the Middle East, I mean, well, Gaza stuff was going on over there, but as we know, that kind of simmered down, and so I just went and looked up, the currency exchange rate, the highest currency exchange rate with the U.S. dollar, and Lebanon was at the top of that list, and so I sent $4 million over there the first time. This is talking about a war genius. I sent $4 million because the USD, the exchange rate over there in the Middle East is $4 million. The second time I sent $16 million. So I sent $20 million in all over there. And so it's like, it's amazing to me. It's amazing that I was able to do that. You know, before the end of the world, I actually got to deal with money in the millions. In the millions, I actually got to give people millions of dollars. That makes me feel good. Um, so that's why everything is sped up now, because now those were spiritual offerings. Those were spiritual warfare offerings, and so as you can imagine, $20 million in the realm of the spirit is a lot of money. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of spiritual warfare. And it hasn't even kicked in. That was, I think, what, the top of January. So February, March, April, like 3 months now. Little less than 3 months. And look how everything has changed. And I say this for educational purposes so that you will be inspired to do the same thing. That you'll be inspired to get victory in your life with your spiritual war and everything you're going through. I mean, most people that's probably paying significant attention to my videos, I would imagine, is real soldiers, real warriors of God, that have high discernment and still able to see I'm a Christian, you know, and you're going through the gang stalking too. You're going through the gang stalking too. You're going through people playing with you in your face and all of that kind of stuff. This witchcraft and all of this stuff. And so, with that being said, if you start giving offerings outside the country, it's going to escalate spiritual warfare against your enemies. And I guarantee you that. I'm pretty sure. I'm definitely positive about that. So I recommend giving to countries like South America, and Colombia in South America, Peru, Chile, Egypt, and Vietnam. You know, I'm working with Vietnam. See, this is all part of the War Genius, position that God has me in. And now people are taking it seriously, and I knew this was going to happen. I couldn't tell you all the details, but I knew we would progress to where we was winning and to where we was on top and God's people on top. And I say that on Resurrection Monday. I knew, and glory to Jesus, for what he did for us on that cross. You know what I'm saying? Serving Jesus is an everyday journey to me. So I want to slow down and talk about Resurrection Monday. We thank God. We thank Jesus for what he did on the cross. We thank him because his blood cleansed us from our sins. Other religions teach that we have to be perfect or we have to do all these rituals to get to heaven, and it doesn't make sense because none of that is clean before God. The only thing that can be acceptable, which will make sense, this is why I don't blindly serve any religion. The reason why I believe in Christianity is because how can you get to the highest plane being impure and being unclean? We're clean to ourselves, but we're not clean before God. So how could you get to the highest plane in his atmosphere being unclean? So it makes perfect sense that his son would be the ultimate sacrifice that he accepts, clean, pure, that can cleanse us from our sins, that we can get to the highest plane, which is heaven. So that's why I believe in Christianity. I believe in Jesus Christ, because we couldn't do it on our own. You can't be clean enough to get to heaven on your own. So I praise Jesus. I praise Jesus all the time. offerings is, in these last times, spiritual warfare. And the reason why it's spiritual warfare is because people opposed us. They used witchcraft against the prophet. They used psychological games, psychological war, gang stalking against the prophet. This is why there's a war, and the offering is against our enemies. Like, if you use common sense, it's a common sense approach to a problem. It's the best approach to a problem, which is to use spiritual weapons against your enemies. Spiritual weapons, not physical weapons, spiritual weapons. That's what we're doing. And it's effective, and it's doing what it's doing, and glory to God. Everything is going good. That's why we can't be compared to no one around us, because it's not even a comparison. And this is how it's supposed to be. If you got God's true soldiers, we shouldn't be able to be compared to nobody, and we're not. Realistically, we're not able to be compared to no one. This is when I talk of terms of rank, not bragging. It's just, as far as rank, it's just uncomparable, because they don't manifest anything. They don't do anything to manifest. They don't manifest nothing. It's nothing you can see in the world and say, okay, that's kind of different. That looks like maybe I put two and two together. You can't put two and two together with nothing they do. At best, they play around our minds, that's it. But they can't show us something in reality. Reality is the harvest that everyone pays attention to. If you can't produce anything in reality, no one's going to be concerned. There's nothing they can produce in reality. They don't produce anything in reality. So they're limited to the psychological realm. And that's why all we have to do is sidestep psychology and psychological games that God is going to show us. And everyone sees clearly that when we give offerings, when we fast, things change. They're paying attention. They're seeing the offerings. They're seeing the fasting. And it's in the synchronicity of it is lining up with the events in the world. Our synchronicity of fasting and offerings are lining up with all these events, these wars that's going on in the world. And it's undeniable. No one can deny it. And our enemies are just sitting around playing psychological games. That's all they're going to do. That's their best shot. They're a one-trick pony. And so what I'm trying to get you to do is, besides these big names that they gave to us over the years, I just want you to take off all the labels and just pay attention. They're not doing anything. They're not manifesting anything. They're just using this big name, and you're stuck on the name in your mind. But pay attention. They're like, look around. There's nothing happening. The only thing they got going is psychological games. Over and over again. Mind games. Things to play with the mind. That's it. Monitoring the mind. Trying to outfox you in your own mind. But everyone's going to pay attention to reality. The world is never going to be, for all these nerds, let me explain something to you. The world is never going to triumph over good old reality. No matter what technology you make, you can make AI, you can do whatever, but with all the technology that you make, you will always gravitate back to reality, and how in interacting with reality on reality terms, where you're interacting with some type of element of reality, the elements of reality. We're never going to get beyond that. The smartest people learn how to complement reality with whatever they do. You know, but just like there's going to be something that trumps over reality, it's not going to happen. That's never going to happen. Okay, so when people play psychological games and mind games and all kind of stuff that they're doing, it's not going to go above reality. Reality triumphs over psychology. Reality triumphs over psychological games. It's going to be reality that triumphs over everything. And so you have to make sure you're not being goofy or allowing people to make you goofy, and you're thinking about stuff that isn't even reality. Because it's a lot of people that's like that. I mean, with a lot of communities, people think they're girls and they're not girls. So they live in different realities. You see what I'm saying? And from that straying of reality, they stray to other things in reality. And there's a whole world of artificial realities with those type of people that say they're girls and they're not. If you was a girl, you would have a vagina. If you was a man, you would have a penis. That's just common sense. So it's just like, that's just physical science, common sense, right? That's science. While people will talk about science, that's science, right? Right. So we can't stray from that foundation of science, right? But people that do also stray in other ways in their reality, and they make up their own alter realities. And you have to make sure that you're in the real world, you're sober minded, and you got a grip on reality. Some people don't like reality because they're not winning in reality. So they'll try to come around reality and win another way with the psychological stuff that they're doing, because they couldn't win with a straight shot in reality. They couldn't straight shoot and win in reality, so they move around to try to be around reality and its rules of who's the winners, who's the losers. And that's what most of these psychological people are going to do, is try to manipulate around reality to still look like winners, and they're not. Because ultimately, you still have to come back to the same rules, which is basically numbers, manifestations. You can't get around it. And so God's people, we wind up always manifesting. We have numbers. I realize that people that don't really work Christianity don't have any numbers. And you wonder why God is not helping you, because you didn't work the principles that he gave you. You didn't work the principles. You got to work the spirituality, just like people on the other side. They work spirituality. We work our spirituality through fasting and giving offerings. We grow and we elevate, spending time in God's presence. We elevate in spiritual power when we spend time in God's presence, when we fast, and when we give offerings. Okay, so that's a path that we have to embark on individually, not just collectively what your church is doing. You have to embark on that path individually. And one thing I would say to you is just look up the offering in the Bible, because the offering is in the Bible. I mean, what I would challenge you to do is to go back to the Old Testament and look up offerings. You could Google and use AI mode, which I love using AI mode. Google the spiritual offering in the Old Testament, and you will see there's a whole concept of the offering. The concept of the offering doesn't stop because people don't believe in it no more. They think the church is scamming people and everything. But the offering is in the Old Testament. But the offering is in the Bible. Okay, so then I have to realize that that's in the Word of God. And so whatever's going on over here, I got to uneducate myself with that and go get the Bible and re-educate myself on the offering from the Bible. And so what I would challenge you to do is go into the Old Testament, and that's what I've done. That's what gave me a personal revival in understanding the offering. It's going to the Old Testament and seeing the offering over and over and over again. Not just the tithe. There's different, not just the tithe. All different types of offerings for different reasons. It's a concept. It's a principle. It's rules and regulations in spiritual war and spirituality. And when you understand that, you won't have this simple, simplistic way of thinking about the offering. But in order for you not to have this simplistic way of thinking about the offering, you got to go back to the Old Testament and just really stack it on. You know what I'm saying? Really lay it on and educate yourself on the whole servanthood of the offering. Because to give the offering, you have to be the servant. You can't just be a greedy person after money. That's why the difference between us and them is they don't want to give their money to God or to a church. You know what I mean? They don't want to give their money to church. They're stingy with their money, but you're a servant. So how are you going to be a servant, but you don't give God any of your money? But you're a real servant of God, but you don't give God's work any significant amount of money. Think about that. You want to support the work, but then when you elevate, you start fasting. You're going to see in the Old Testament, the offering is part of the servant's path. The servant has to offer something. A servant offers something. You go to a restaurant, what does the servant do? The server / servant offers you something. He don't just walk around. He or she doesn't just walk around. The server or servant has something to serve. What do you have to serve? And so when you become a servant, you realize you have something to serve. See, everybody's not a servant of God. That's what you have to ask people. This is what I learned to ask people. Key things that only God's people are. Are you a servant of God? Oh, people say, oh, I'm a Christian. Oh, okay. Are you a servant of God? They ain't gonna go that far. What you will find out is that most people are not gonna go that far. They know they ain't gonna play themselves and say they are a servant of God. They ain't gonna say they are a servant of God now. See, if you say you're a Christian, okay, you can say you're a Christian because that's based on your beliefs, your perspective. You wanna pinpoint what you believe in. So some people will say it for that. That'll be the context. The context is I'm saying what I believe in by saying I'm a Christian. But ask them, are they servants of God? Most people gonna say, I don't. They already hesitating on saying they are because you're not serving God. See, only the servant is gonna understand the spiritual offering because you're offering God fastings. You're offering worship to God and praise. So you're so used to giving God something. It becomes second nature to you. That by the time you understand the concept in your walk with God of the offering, you really get an epiphany of it. Next thing you want to do is give God a great offering. That's how it happens. You want to give God a great offering. So imagine the servant goes into spiritual warfare, right? What you think the servant going to do? The servant is going to play a servant's position and give an offering in spiritual warfare. And God is going to bring all kind of divine attacks. See, this is what you have to realize, is that us as God's people could have never fit into America. Not real servants of God, no. People say they love Jesus, but they only love one aspect of Jesus, the love part. But they didn't pay attention to when Jesus said things like, "You generation of vipers, how long must I suffer you?" I'm paraphrasing. All the correction that Jesus gave, I don't think people paid attention to it. And so you have an American perspective on Jesus, that Jesus just walked around like a hippie, eating fruit and giving love to everybody. But that's not the full perspective. That's not the full context or narrative of the time of Jesus on earth. No, Jesus came and brought correction. He brought correction because that's the first thing people gonna need that's beneath Jesus. They gonna need to be elevated, right? So how they gonna be elevated? With information and with correction. So if you find somebody that's just love, 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 that's not the spirit of Jesus. The spirit of Jesus is not just love. It's spiritual power. And it's divine, almighty information. If you really got the spirit of Jesus, you should be producing information. Jesus didn't come just doing power. That's why in these days with spirituality, people will go to one extreme or the other. You'll have people that just have information and no spiritual power, and they'll just be dry Christians. And then you'll have people with a whole bunch of spirituality and it's no structure. It doesn't make sense. You don't know, sometimes people get off and start doing things that's not scriptural. Like almost folklore, where they almost into divination and witchcraft, so we always have to make sure that it's a balance. To be like Jesus is the full capacity. It's the full capacity of spirituality. We have spirituality, but we also have information as an individual. I teach individuality in your Christianity, not just being part of a collective church, and you think that's good enough. No, you elevate in your own Christian walk by yourself. And you make sure you're going to a church where the preacher is not intimidated by you becoming greater than him or her. Because there are some people that in these churches in America specifically, I just speak what I know, where they're intimidated if you, it's almost like this unspoken understanding that you can't be more powerful than the preacher. You can't be more powerful than this person, this speaker that's up there. And it's almost like if you start feeling yourself do it, you're becoming more spiritual and more powerful than what you hear in your church. Then you almost control yourself not to be like that, because you've been trained and controlled. That this person is greater than you. This is how you have to understand things. You go to churches that are not intimidated by your growth. If you're more powerful than them, they're glad. They embrace that. They embrace you being more powerful than them. Because there's some churches that it's kind of like an unknown language that the preacher is the most powerful person. But that doesn't make sense according to spiritual generational lineages, right? The next generation should be the most powerful. The next generation should be having more information. The next generation should have more power and more anointing, right? And so a real leader embraces the next generation being more powerful than he is or she is. So I represent the next generation of Christianity, where I know that people are not doing what I'm doing. I know they're not doing it. And so I'm not going to sit up and act like they are to make them feel comfortable or to make you feel comfortable. I know that I'm the only preacher that's talking about child marriage laws in America. I'm the only one. Bishop T.D. Jakes didn't talk about child marriage laws. That's for black people. For white people, Billy Graham did not talk about these people marrying children in the United States of America. It was only me. So I'm not going to act like they did something that I did that I'm doing to make people feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? To not offend people. I know that they didn't do it, and they preached all their lives, and it was right here. Bishop Jakes didn't do one teaching on it. So see, I'm just really a prophet out here in the real world, in reality. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about real things like I'm supposed to. You know, and that's why, like I said, I keep a good grip on reality, because people losing their mind every day. They paying attention to stuff that don't matter. That's why I keep telling people that intellectuals, that psychological stuff, it doesn't even matter. I already know what they're trying to trigger on. We don't care about that. That's why I always reinforce that over and over again. We don't care about any psychological stuff. That's all they got. That's all the enemies got. And it's played out. It's redundant, you know, and they keep doing it over and over again. So we don't care about that. We're moving forward because we know God's going to be our protection. We don't care what they think of us. They've already thought the worst already, so you can't rethink what you've already thought. So they've already thought the worst of us already. That part is over, right? That part is over, right? They already thought the worst about me and you. So why care about it? You see what I'm saying? Where either way it go, they already thought the worst about us anyway. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, and then, but they fell right on their face in front of everybody. They done made a fool of themselves, but they still standing around like they can judge people. See, we don't allow them type of people to even think they can judge us. We don't let them think that. We don't let nobody think that. Okay? That's not our equals. There is no equal. And what we're proving is that these witchcraft people are learning firsthand there are no competitors to God's kingdom. When y'all been sitting up funky, when there's child marriage in the country, but you trying to insinuate, but we prove, we show and prove, we show and tell, we prove that what we're talking about, we can bring it into reality. You can't do the same thing. This is why I'm big on reality. Not psychological stuff that nobody can believe in. I can show you stuff that you can believe in. So that's how we outrank them without a question, without a doubt. We outrank them. There's no way in the world you're going to be talking about, you see what I'm saying? Anything you talk about has to come into reality. I don't care what it is. If you can't bring it into reality, then you're going to be defeated by us. We don't care about that. That's immature. It's childlike. We talk about stuff. You want to talk about pedophilia? Okay, we talk about child marriage in your country, in America, and none of these people talked about it. That's what makes the prophet shine, because there ain't nobody talking about it. And so then we realize that it's not an issue of who's doing what. What the issue is now is that you're jealous, that you're a player hater. You know, that's the next problem. So then I'm smart enough to know once I've won right there and you can't win right in that area, then the next problem is that you're jealous and you're player haters. And we're gonna get that from the gay people. They love to compete with each other. They love to have competitions, right? you know, we know you're jealous. That's all it is. I mean, so we're smart enough to know, right, that it's not a matter of who's right or wrong. You're jealous. So you know, because once we come to realize that America's marrying children, the issue is settled, right? That issue is settled. So now the only reason you're still playing around us is because you want to prove you got something to prove. You got something to that's why you're running around and slamming doors, and because you have something to prove. Let's really ponder this. They have something to prove, don't they? And you're not going to prove it. No, you're not going to prove it because it's too late to prove it. I mean, at some point, it's too late to prove that you're more competent than us. It's too late to prove that. Nobody's going to believe you. Nobody's going to think that you're more competent than us and you've been marrying children in America, but you're more competent than us. You have something to prove and you're not going to prove it. And so we're just going to keep reality going. We're going to keep what's going on in the real world going like it's always been. We're not in the alien world. Like that's why I don't even acknowledge these people. You know what I'm saying? Because I know in the real world you have nothing. So you had to try to make yourself special with these roundabout psychological games and roundabout psychological moves, and you still have nothing in the real world. See, for real winners and real men, that's why I know it's a lot of homosexuals on that side. Because they don't have any real numbers and wins. Like a real man can sit back and say, I did this, I did that, I've been here, I done this, I drove cars, I had an apartment here, I had an apartment there. You know how many gay people in America? No, I want you to really think about this. Even though you might find rich gay people, there's a lot of it's more broke gay people than anything else. And they don't have anything to show for their life. They don't have anything to show. They haven't done anything with their life, right? So it's easy for them to join a secret society and then look like a winner because you don't have no numbers. Like a real man that went out and worked and did stuff and got apartments and got a kid, they don't have no structure like we do. Like, that's why I cannot be compared to a homosexual. Because we're two different animals. We got two different structures in life. I mean, imagine me being, you see what I'm saying? Imagine me being compared in the real world with a man that's playing psychological games and that's all he got. He ain't got no structure in his life. He ain't got no kids. He ain't never had no kids. He ain't never worked. And see, he hides behind being gay, but the truth is he's really hiding from being a bum. No, I'm talking about America. I can't talk about all gay people. But here in America, a dude hide behind being gay to make himself look special and all of this stuff. But the real issue he's hiding behind, the real issues he's hiding from is being a bum. So you'll be so focused on, well, just be yourself, just be who you are, but you're not confronting the fact that he's lazy. You're not confronting the fact that he won't work. You're not confronting the fact that he doesn't have any plans to stand on his own 2 feet. That he gonna go live with another gay dude. That he gonna go live with somebody else and live off of somebody else. And his family gonna keep just being glad that he glad to be who he is. And so they Jedi mind tricked from addressing the fact that I know you're gay, but when are you gonna get to work? I know you're gay, but when are you gonna get a job? I know you're gay, but when are you going to be self-sufficient? I know you're gay, But when are you, I know you're a tranny, but when are you going to be self-sufficient? See what I'm talking about? So then their whole life, I'm showing you their path. I know it. Their whole life they can hide about behind the parties and being gay and Jedi mind trick people, where the only thing we worried about is you being comfortable and not suicidal because you're gay. And being comfortable in your own skin as a tranny. And so the Jedi mind trick is, we could talk about this for the rest of your life and we don't have to address you not being self-sufficient. Woo! Let's stop being elementary. Okay, we got it that you're gay. Okay, when you gonna get a job? See, this is the pressure that the real men have. You don't get that. You don't have that pressure. Your family just pat you on the back and say, I'm glad you're gay, girl. I'm glad you're okay with being gay. You don't gotta work. Some of them don't gotta work. They go live with their mama. Some gay dudes can live up under their mama and cook in the house and make the house smell good. Oh, y'all know what I'm talking about? Make the house smell good, cook and clean around the house. We just glad you comfortable with being gay. But the Jedi mind trick is, it's almost a con game being gay without working. Going living on somebody else. Going living off of somebody else. When you gonna stand on your own 2 feet? This is America, gay people. I've seen it too many times. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. Living off somebody else, living in the streets, bummy all around. But then, listen, playing in your face, right? Comparing themselves to a straight man. It's uncivilized for you to compare yourself to me. Because I've had a child in my life. I've had apartments. I drive a car. I'm not one of them crazy people that can't drive a car. You got some gay people that ain't never drove a car. You got some transsexuals that ain't never drove a car. Me and you two different people. Me and you two different. See how I'm in the real world and you're so focused on psychological stuff that you don't even build yourself up in the real world. You ain't never had a driver license. You ain't never had an apartment in your name. Not a program, a housing program apartment. No, a real apartment. Not from HASA. I had 2 apartments before I even came to HASA. That's why I didn't mind coming this time, because I worked for my other 2 apartments. Paying bills, no help, no EBT, no food stamps. Did you hear what I said? 2 apartments on my own, no EBT and no food stamps. No cash, no cash, EBT, no food stamps, just me and my wife. Add to that you got to deal with the emotions of a woman. I say that respectfully. And you got to be the provider as a man. The pressure of feeling that as a man, wanting to be the provider. While all these other men, see, you ain't even in that lane where you looking around like that. This is why I say it, not because I'm being arrogant, because you don't have to even deal with the same responsibilities and problems and pressures that we have to deal with as heterosexual men, like providing for our woman, providing for a woman in the world of all these guys riding around on 20s and 25s or better. And what we got, we barely making it, right? That's a pressure in itself. If you really love your woman, you really love your wife, you want to provide for your woman, don't you? That got to be in your mind. But what you wind up doing, I'm going to tell you what you wind up doing. You wind up suppressing it, you know what I'm saying? Because you're doing the best you can. So the strong feeling of providing more, you kind of suppress that. But if you're a good man, I know that got to cross your mind. That got to be in your heart, ultimately. Some kind of plan where you want to provide more. And see, as a man of color, you're going to go through that. You're gonna want to provide more for your woman, and you gotta, and you're gonna suppress what you really want to do and do what you can at the time. And see, that's something a gay man can't even relate to. Having a wife and the pressure of having a wife. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. So off the strength of that alone, I refuse to be compared to homosexuals. And that's even with what I've done sexually. My position really never changed. If you could do stuff sexually and your position in life don't change. I still had a son the whole time. I still thought about him, my son, the whole time. So really my position never changed. I was here and there talking to my wife and back and forth, still talking to her. Position didn't change really. We still have to, we still have that position in our minds. You know, we still, and you're going to be talking about that position for the rest of your life. You're going to be talking about that position. So, you know, a position triumphs over sexuality, okay? And the position of a heterosexual man comes with a whole bunch of responsibility, more responsibility than a homosexual man. We don't have the same responsibilities. We put out kids, we in the real world. Most homosexuals, okay, you might adopt, but that's later on, you know what I'm saying? And that's with the right person. We mess around and have children by the wrong woman, and whether we like it or not. And then guess what, buddy? Guess what? We got to take care of our responsibilities. The pressure is on to do that. The pressure is on to take care of our responsibilities. While y'all can have sex for 1,000,000 years and then adopt when you become 60 years old. Now you want to adopt a kid after 60. We don't got the luxury of doing that. We put our penis in a woman long enough, we gonna have some kids. We gonna have more responsibility. This is why I can never be compared to a homosexual. This is why I break it down. It's because of my position. It's not because I feel like I'm better than you. It's because I got a position that has more responsibility at face value. At face value, a heterosexual position of a man has more responsibility while you get to party and have sex for 20 years, and then when you want to have a real relationship, that's just a real relationship. After 20 years, you can then settle down to a real relationship after you done played in the field for like 20 years. And then you can choose to adopt maybe 10 years after that serious relationship. That's your life story. We come out here and we might have a fling with a female for X amount of time. And the next thing you know, we got a kid on the way, whether we like it or not. And if you're a decent person, you're going to take care of your responsibilities. And that's the difference. We got more responsibilities at face value than homosexuals. And this is what a real man gonna say. See the difference between a boy talking about it and he just all he talking about is what you doing and the details of what you doing in your bedroom, which I don't care about. And when I talk about it, even with my 6 sexualities, I've still had the position. I put a child in the world. I've been a married man. I've been married on paper. You know what I mean? Which means I'm responsible for another human being. You ever felt that feeling? That you're responsible. Society tells you you're responsible for this person. You're responsible for this person's well-being. Not her responsible for you. No, that's not how it goes. You as a husband, society is going to look at you like, take care of your woman. They expect you to do that. Now, 2 gay dudes, y'all gonna pull together. But one of them ain't gonna have the full pressure of like, take care of him. I mean, you could play it like that. I mean, you know, but society ain't gonna point to you and say, yo, out of 2 gay dudes, yo, you take care of him. They're basically gonna look at and say, oh, well, you got all the most money, take care of your, like that, right? Because you obviously got, one of them going to obviously, usually, you have the most money. Usually it's like that on the average situation. So society really ain't gonna look to you and say, oh, take care of that person. They gonna say, y'all take care of each other. That's how they gonna address you, right or wrong. Oh, yeah, y'all take care of each other. Y'all take care of each other now. You know what society gonna tell me? Take care of your woman, man. They ain't gonna tell my woman to take care of me. Oh, take care of him now. Nah, that ain't how society works here in America, buddy. Dudes gonna tell me, people gonna tell me, take care of your woman now, take care of her now. We got pressure that you don't have, man. That's what I'm saying. And then just add all the other pressures that come from being in white America, in America, that a gay man doesn't have, that a heterosexual man has. You get overlooked. You also by America get looked at as, well, we just glad that you're gay. You're comfortable with being gay. You're not depressed. You get to hide behind that. We don't. As real men, they look at us like, what you doing, man? They think they look at you. This is how we know for sure. When you look at a heterosexual man versus a gay man, society is going to look at the homosexual guy and say, we're just glad you're gay. We're just glad you're comfortable in your own skin. When they look at me, you know what they're going to look at? Why are you not working? Why do you not have a job? I promise you most people gonna approach you like that. They gonna approach it like, why are you not working? Why are you not, why you don't got a job? Why you ain't got no structure in your life? Why you ain't got your own place or whatever. At face value, I can't make this up. A gay person, they gonna look at him and say, oh, so when did you come out? Well, tell me your life story of being gay. When did you come out and all of this? They're just interested in your sexuality. Nobody's interested in my sexuality. Well, what's the first woman you had sex with? They're not interested in my sexuality. They're interested in my position, in me taking care of my responsibilities. They're interested in knowing how are you taking care of yourself. That's the only thing they're thinking about. And that's why, this is why, I as a black man, I'm speaking for me, I do not allow myself to be compared to no homosexual. And that shows you, that's the difference. It's besides sex, it's bigger than that. It's about the position and the pressures that we got as straight men in the world to have all these things together. And if you don't, then you won't consider you a man. You see what I'm saying? See, you're secure in who you are. If you're broke and you don't got nothing, they still gonna say you a gay man. If you a man, a heterosexual man, they gonna esteem you less of a man if you ain't got yourself together. They not gonna play that with you. They ain't gonna say that with you. If you ain't got yourself together as a gay guy, they ain't gonna say nothing about that. Most Americans are not going, because they don't want to offend you already. Think about it. They don't want to really offend you. So they ain't going to say too much of nothing at all, really. You know what I'm saying? They're going to kind of let you be. That's the kind of situation. They're going to let you be. Now, me, as soon as I say I'm heterosexual, I guarantee you they're going to be thinking about nothing. They ain't going to be thinking about, first of all, they ain't going to be thinking about no sex because that's normal to them. So they ain't thinking about no sexuality at all. They ain't thinking about no sexuality at all. They thinking about how you getting yourself together? How you taking care of yourself? They won't ask the gay dude the same thing. How you taking care of yourself? Half of them will not do it. A good person will. A counselor-like type person will do it. But the average person will gonna be like, even in your own family, oh, well, I'm just glad you're comfortable in your own skin, You can talk about a million gay stories all your life and they never actually care about you being self-sufficient. And this is why that's the difference in our community. It's a bias about responsibilities. A gay man don't have to have all these responsibilities. They don't put them on you. They don't lay them on you. They don't put no pressure on you. See, we got pressure as a straight man always, no matter what we do. We always got a pressure on us to perform, to do, to have things. You know what I'm saying? As a homosexual, you know, you could be a fun loving guy, and that's enough for them, for society, for America. I know what I'm talking about, buddy. I'm an educated man. I pay attention. I keep my head on the swivel and my brain on the swivel. My brain is on the swivel. And this is why I do not take no challenges from no gay dudes. You see what I'm saying? Because you do not walk in my shoes, man. Literally. My son is 19 years old. I got a 19-year-old son. My son is a grown man. You playing with me like I'm a boy. And that's why I don't tolerate it, man. See, people don't realize a real man will destroy you because of his manhood. You live long enough, I don't care if you don't even have a lot of money. A lot of times black people don't. But when you live a certain amount of time and you got a certain amount of experiences, this is all it takes. You live a certain amount of time and you got a certain amount of experiences in life. That's all it takes for somebody to set you straight and let you know the difference between a man and a boy. And see, that's another thing that a gay dude might not value in his life is adulthood. You know, being a man. Because he ain't see good examples of a man. Most of them grow up around their women, around their mothers. They didn't see a good example of a man in their life. So you begin to despise men. Because you ain't see a good man in your life. Especially black guys. Black gay dudes, you ain't see no good example of a man. So you kind of despise men. You know, you're always skeptical of a man. You're skeptical. Because you ain't never seen a good man. So you don't even aspire to be like a good man because you ain't never seen one. So you don't have the value system of a real man. You don't have the you know, the principles because you don't care about it because you despise them. You ain't gonna want the principles of a real man if you despise men. And it's easy to despise American men. They're arrogant. Many of them are uneducated. They're not the fathers they need to be. And it's real easy to despise American men. Yes, it is. And if you're not careful, you'll be bucking the system of manhood because you despise men. You despise the men that were around you, and you don't even care about being the man. You out the man race. All that stuff talking about being a man, and the reason why you don't care about it, I'm gonna tell you. Higher psychology is the reason why you don't care about it is because you've seen bad examples of men and you begin to despise men as a man, as a male. So then you didn't care about it no more. So then you can hide behind being a hip hop type of dude that never grows up. And the real reason why you're like that, you're like this hip hop kind of, this is the straight dudes now. You're like this hip hop kind of dude that never grows up. The reason why you're like that is because you begin to despise the characteristics of a real man because you had bad examples of men. So you begin to be this never grow up kind of hip hop kind of guy. See, I understand higher psychology. I could have been a psychologist. That's why when people play with, now back on psychology, when people play around my mind, I'm going to be ever aware of it because I'm one of the high-ranking people in psychology. You're not going to get anything past me, and I don't see it. You know what I'm saying? But it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? That's the revolution to my point. It just doesn't matter to me. But off the strength of me having a 19-year-old son, he's a man. You know, when my son is a man, that's when you realize, even if he's not in your life, I guarantee you every real man gonna say, even if your son wasn't in your life, when you realize he's a man, you demand more respect from society. Yes. You got a grown man as a son. My son is grown. Me, I could have a 25-year-old child. So I like to use this illustration. Tupac Shakur could be my son right now. And some of y'all ain't past his level of intellect. Tupac Shakur passed away when he was 25. Me at my age, I could have a 25-year-old son. Now imagine them comparing me to the intellect of Tupac Shakur. Now I'm just being 100 because I should have surpassed that, and I have surpassed that. Tupac would be my son. He's 20. He was 25. I'm 44. That's 20 years, almost 20 years, which means I could have had him at 19 right now. Me being 44 years old, I could have had a son as old as Tupac at 19 and have a 25-year-old son right now. That's a wake-up call. That's how you know you're getting old. You know, and that's good because the older I get, the more respect I demand. You know, but when you realize, okay, the people you respected, you can have children they age, okay, you getting old. Yeah, because Tupac Shakur, that's just a wake-up call. He could at his age, what you saw him at, that could be my son right now. He was only 25. Okay, I'm 44. I'm gonna be 45 this year, right? I'm 20 years older than Tupac, basically. Okay, so I could obviously have a son that at his age, where he was at. And that wakes up people's minds, because with those type of guys, some people idolize them as 50 years old, 60 years old, like you can't pass their intellect. And I'm gonna tell you who do it. I'm gonna tell you who do this. Black gatekeepers will act like you can't surpass Tupac. Well, why can't I? Because you said so? Oh, here's another one. I can't surpass Malcolm X. I can't surpass Malcolm X. I could have had a kid. I could have had somebody as old as Malcolm X. Yeah. He could be my son. That's how old I am. I'm older than Malcolm X. And that's a wake-up call. When you realize, okay, hold up. No, I want all men my age and older to think about this. When you are older than Malcolm X, ain't that a wake-up call for what kind of respect you should be demanding from the black community? They respected Malcolm X. Okay, so you older than him. You're older than him. And they acting like you ain't gonna ever surpass that person. See, that's how some black people act. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about. They act like you ain't gonna never surpass Malcolm X. Why? Why wouldn't I? I've lived longer than him. I don't say that disrespectfully. I've lived longer. Okay, so then I shouldn't be having the same intellect as somebody that's younger than me. That's real. I shouldn't be on the same level of intellect as somebody that's younger than me. I don't care if it's Malcolm X, Tupac Shakur, or whoever else. If they younger than me and I live longer, I should have a higher level of intellect. I should be producing higher levels of intellectual property. And you don't let nobody hold you back. You don't let no black folks tell you, oh, you ain't gonna never be better than Malcolm X now. Don't you know some people say that? When I could have a child as old as Malcolm X. 39, okay, I'm 44. I could have a 39-year-old son. Yes, I could if I had children at 15 years old. At 15, we already ejaculating. That's facts. Okay, so if I had a kid at 15, messing around with these girls, I could have a kid as old as Malcolm X too. 39, while I'm 44. It's a wake-up call. When you start getting on the level like that, you demand your respect and you don't let no lame niggas come in your lane. That's real. When you can actually say, yo, I'm at the age where I could actually have a kid as old as Malcolm X. I could have a kid as old as Tupac Shakur. Okay, so then now you start demanding a higher level of respect from your society because they gave those individuals respect and you're older than them. That's what does it. That's what does it for me. Most older people, they gonna look at all these other people you respected, and I'm older than them. So hey, look, I'm gonna give me some of that respect. Do I gotta earn it? Old age earns a certain amount of respect if you just mind your business. If you just older person that mind your business, you gonna command a certain amount of respect, whether you earned it or not. Because you don't live long enough down here. And the wise person gonna tell you, you don't live long enough down here where you done been through some stuff, and I already know that. I'm smart enough to know. You done been through dark days, you done been through crazy stuff, you done been through all kind of stuff. With these women as a man, you know, so age gonna command a certain amount of respect. That's facts. If you dealing with a smart person. That's why I only talk to smart people. I don't talk to no idiots. You know what I'm saying? Like, no. You know, but yeah, this is what life consists of. I speak from the heart. That's what I do. I might be long-winded, but I think them the kind of messages I like. I like to put down a message and lay down and listen to it, fall asleep, wake up listening to it. I like the long messages anyway, so I just feel like I'm just doing it for people that's like me, you know, somebody that need to hear a voice of reason, somebody that's talking something real, you know what I'm saying, that you can lay down to and listen to, you know, in a situation in these worlds, the world that we live in. You know, you need somebody with a voice of reasoning that can reason properly, you know, through all this stuff. Yeah, but that's just a wake-up call, man. When you older than Malcolm X and MLK, and you not getting your respect, you gotta shake the dust off your feet, like the Bible say. And I'm paraphrasing. I'm sure it says in the Bible. You know, you shake the dust off your feet and keep it moving. Because, like, I'm not a peewee. And people will treat you like a peewee, bro. They'll treat you like you're a peewee. That's a term we use in the South for a young person. They'll treat you like you're a peewee. You gotta say, hold up, man, hold up. I'm older than Malcolm X. Let me digest that. Let me think about that. I'm older than Malcolm X, right? Okay, so I'm older than Tupac Shakur, right? Like, I could have a kid as young as Tupac Shakur right now. So then, how I'm gonna let people disrespect me like I'm 16 years old or something? So then what a man does is he go to war. If he don't get his respect, you know, see, this is only the logistics of a man, a heterosexual man. Most of us, like, most homosexuals ain't geared to think like this. Like, if I don't get my respect as a man, I'm going to war, and that's it. And I'm gonna fight till I die. That's it. That's how I don't know no man that's not like that. If you put a man up against a wall and play with him like you play with me, I'm going to war till I die. Okay? Because I've done enough in life to deserve respect. And I've lived long enough to deserve respect. So when that's challenged, then that's when I'm gonna fight till that's respected or to the end. It's that simple. And see, that's only a manhood. Only a man gonna think like that. Because it ain't nothing else it ain't nothing else after that. After you get disrespected, what else is there in life to apply yourself to when you've been grossly disrespected? Ain't nothing else to apply yourself to. Because truth is, you don't even want to help your society after that. You don't want to work for them. You don't want to help them. You don't want to do nothing. And that's how I am right now. But see, you would judge it from a different angle, like, because you either ain't a straight man, you don't understand, or, you know, or maybe you just didn't build up your man muscles, you know, as a man, to understand that if society play with a person long enough, he gon' go into war mode, period. That's all he gonna do. because he can't stand the people. Why would he want to work for him? Why would he want to, for money? Money ain't gonna matter more than his respect. Not mine. My respect matters more than money. Money ain't nothing. Once you live to my age and older, money is just money comes and goes. Everybody know that. You live my age and older, man. Money just comes and goes. You gonna get money again and again and again and again and again. That's how it is. Life works in cycles. Sometimes you have food, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you got money, sometimes you don't. It's only young kids that's why the suicide rate is higher with young people, because they don't know life works in cycles. Where sometimes you know life ain't good, but it's gonna get better. You know, you got money, but maybe you might be broken a little bit. You got food, but hey, you might not have food too much longer, but you're gonna have it again. You're gonna have money again too. But you live life long enough to see that happen. For you to come out of the cycles of not having something, not having food, not having money, and then I got some more food, I got some more money. Money in your pocket again, You know what I'm saying? A young person ain't lived long enough. They ain't lived long enough to see the cycles of life for themselves to say, okay, I can live through this. You know, I ain't tripping. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get money again. I'm going to get food again, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm saying? They ain't lived long enough to know that. When you live my age, you know, I ain't worried about money. So money ain't something that I prioritize like a young dude. You know, like I prioritize my respect because I done things. See, when you done things, and you done moved around, you know, now, you know, money can be given anywhere. You can get it anywhere. That's not going to be on the top of my list. Respect is going to be on the top of my list. Simple as that. And if I don't get it, I'm going to fight dying for it. And that's how you play your position. And you don't change for nobody. And and usually how that works is most dudes come out on top playing it like that. But you gotta have guts. You gotta have a heart. You gotta have a heart to play it like that. But that's how you gotta play it. And most men who play it like that, they gonna have more heart than their enemies. They gonna have more heart than these other people. And you gonna outlast them because you willing to die in that position. They not willing to die in their position. They want to play in your face long enough until they get some type of gratification. You willing to die in that position, and they not. And so who you think gonna win? You gonna win because you willing to die in that position, which means you gonna go through whatever you gotta go through. You gonna go through whatever. They not even looking at it like it's a situation like that. That's why I said. That's why I'm saying, man. This is why I'm saying they shouldn't be playing with you. If they don't think like you, they shouldn't be playing with you. That's why I don't have no compassion. I don't have no compassion if you play with me and you clearly hear what type of dude I am and you still think it's a game. I don't have any kind of compassion. Nope. For me, it's real good these days because people are realizing my position. They realizing, okay, because I ain't out here just trying to prove I'm a soldier or I'm tough or I'm bad or whatever. I'm as a man, my value system is I prove that I'm intellectual, that I'm educated. That's one thing now that's how I know I'm getting older, because now I value my education. I value being educated. I love educating myself. I love informing myself of new things. You know, when I was younger, I wasn't really like that. But as I got older, you know, I like education, information, because you live here long enough, and then you start looking around and educating yourself on the world, and you realize what it consists of, and how men are and women are, and everything else. You start to realize what the world is on a whole nother level, what it consists of. After you've given the world a spin a couple times, now you see what the world consists of. Like today, I just looked up the most smartest woman in the world, the smartest person in the world, and this woman is she's you could tell How I knew she was smart, because this is what smart people do. They learn to be human. That's the smartest people. If you see somebody trying to be perfect and trying to do everything perfect, they are not on the highest level of intellect and understanding. The smartest people try to be superhuman. No pun intended. Just human. Just a normal person. Just relaxed. Just a normal person. You could really overlook a very smart person because they're so smart they learn to be human. Something people forget. To just be yourself with all your flaws. You know what I'm saying? Just be you. Just be you. Just be human. Be comfortable with being human, which means be comfortable with being flawed. See, to be human is to be flawed. That's part of the definition. I mean, I think that's even an informal definition, isn't it? Especially in 2026, to be human, and sometimes people will say that in the sense to say I'm flawed, like I'm only human. For example, to say I'm only human means I have limitations. I'm flawed. You know, so a person that goes high in their intellect becomes a person who comes to terms with that. They come to terms. Some people don't. Their whole life, they're perfectionists. They try to be perfect, and they destroy themselves. They destroy themselves because you can't achieve perfection. And a smart person realizes that. So I don't struggle with that. I don't struggle with being perfect. I just put my best foot forward, and I learn to be a human. Which means I laugh at myself sometimes. Oh, duh, I did this or did. And you just learn, like some people beat themselves up. Like, why did I know that? Why didn't I do that? It's like, sad world for people like that. Me, I embrace my humanity. I embrace my me being a human being. And then, ironically, when you embrace it, you become a better human being. Your performance becomes better as a human. When you embrace being a human being, it's only when you don't embrace it that you don't flow. You don't flow right. Ain't nothing you gonna do is gonna flow right if you don't embrace being human. It's crazy, but that's how it is. If you try to be perfect, you're gonna be super conscious, self-conscious of yourself, to where you actually make mistakes because you're more focused on the mistakes. See, a perfectionist is more focused on the mistakes than the good stuff that you're doing. That's why it's a thin line between being a perfectionist and then just breaking yourself and destroying with the good stuff that you got about yourself, because you're too focused on the flaws of your performance. And you can't, even as a man, a husband would tell you, even if you are intimate with your wife, even that part, if you're focused on the flaws, then you're not going to perform very well. If you just flow, you're going to perform better than just, oh, did I do that right? Or am I doing this right? And you're thinking too much instead of just flowing. And now you're in the mood. You're really in the. That's the natural way it's supposed to be. And that approach goes to every part of life. Whatever you do, even as a musician or whatever you do, you always have to flow. You have to flow and get out of yourself and not break yourself with perfection or trying to do it. You don't even try, you just flow, right? And some people can't do that. They can't flow in performance or flow in life. And see, that's how I figure everything out. I just flow, right? And then when something's in my way, that's how I know. That's how I know to move on, because it ain't flowing right. If I flow and then something is constantly trying to hit at me or and it's not in that position, then that's when I know it's not complementing me and my flow, right? It's not complimenting me. And see, to know somebody else's flow, you have to know who they are. You have to know what's going on in their world. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, with the mind readers, all these people around me, they don't know I deal with spiritual war besides them, which means I deal with all type of other demons all around that I have to fight. So the times when they read me, they're actually reading spiritual warfare. And that's why I'm going to do a whole video on this. Reading spiritual warfare and not realizing that's what you're reading. You know what I'm saying? That's for psychics and these telepaths people. I see them make mistakes because I'm sitting here laying here and I see the warfare that comes and they read that and thought and latched onto it. But all it does is reveal to me who's in the atmosphere. That's how I use it to my advantage when they make those mistakes like that. When they're trying to read your mind and you know that it's spiritual warfare around you. It's not an excuse, it's what it is, right? You had that going on before the gang stalkers and all of that came along, right? If you high ranking, you already had spiritual warfare. So, with that being said, if they don't know how to read your mind, they're going to read spiritual warfare. And they stupid. They don't know no better. That's why I sit back and laugh at you, because I know it's so much going on in this. I mean, if you know someone is as high ranking as me, you don't think I have any spiritual warfare. You don't think I have anything besides you. So you flatter yourself and you think you're the only one, right? You know how much stuff I got to deal with spiritually? You have no idea. So, but what I do is, how I take advantage of that is I let people sit back and read stuff, and it exposes their path. It exposes who they are. Because they latch on to something, they think you had a bad thought, right? But really with spiritual warfare, they read that, but it exposed them when they start talking or knocking on walls and whatever they do. You know how they do all this kind of stuff to try to trigger you to say, oh, you just had a bad thought, but you didn't. It was the spiritual warfare around you. And they read that instead of you. They thought they read you, but they read you. They read the spiritual warfare or you working through the spiritual warfare. One or the other. They read you working through the spiritual warfare that's thrown at you from demonic spirits, or they read the spiritual warfare itself. It's either one or the other, which was is the lies. So that's just a higher level of spirituality and things that they couldn't possibly know because they ain't on this side. They ain't on this side and they don't know what we deal with. So. But my reason for bringing that up is when people start doing all that reading stuff, trying to read you, it's time for me I can't flow around that naturally. Neither would I want to. I don't want to. So I flow, I move away. Because I don't flow, I don't get the flow. You know what I mean? That's what I go by. I don't care what city I live in. I don't have any fear. I lived in New York so long, I can't be scared of New York. I'm past that. I lived in Bed-Stuy, I lived in Harlem, I lived in Staten Island. I used to catch the ferries. I know about seeing the Statue of Liberty every day. I know all about that. So I'm not afraid. I lived in Los Angeles, I lived in California. I'm not afraid of California either. I just left California less than a year ago. If I was afraid of California, I would have never went back. Well, people can come from town to town and still find you. If people really scared of any city, they ain't gonna come to California at all. You didn't think about that, did you? But if I don't flow, that's when I move on. That's when I move on. When I don't flow, that's when I move. You know what I'm saying? And in these last days, I'm gonna point out something that's gonna show you something that you need to pay attention to. I'm not hoping that it happens to you, but it could. Where you're just pushed out of a place because you're spiritual. And God don't want you there. And you might have to go through a wilderness experience You might have to go through the wilderness. You know what I'm saying? You might have to go through being in your car like a lot of these young people are these days. You know, you look on these videos and it's a lot of people on the streets, like young too, in their car, sleeping in their car. And they're homeless. And it's a lot of them. It's a lot of people going through that right now. Literally, right? And although they're not on the street, on the block, you know, like a lot of these homeless people we see on the streets, but technically they ain't got no place to live or nothing. But they got a car. So some people sleeping in their car, you know, sleeping in the Walmart parking lot at night, you know. And it's a kind of more a brighter experience on the streets, you know what I'm saying? They kind of still eat fast food, you know, they kind of chilling, listen to their little music and, you know, in their car. You know, it's kind of more of a bright experience than homelessness that me and you might go through. But the bottom line is this, you know, the point is this, is that you might have to be in those situations or similar situations because you're being pushed out the system of America because you're spiritual. See, ultimately, Satan wants to push us out the system. He don't want to help us at all. How we know? Because the scripture says that when the mark of the beast is issued, I'm paraphrasing, that you won't be able to sell, buy, or anything without that mark. Right? So that's boxing God's people out the system. So before that happens, there's a boxing out, if you will, that's already happening. It's already happening. Where we're being pushed out the system because the satanic kingdom detects us. It detects you, it detects me. And they don't want to help us. Because why? Because you're a Christian. No, they ain't gonna say that. They ain't gonna say that. They gonna blame you and say you're hateful. They gonna blame you and say you don't know how to live and let live, and you don't know how to coexist. But the truth is, let's be very factual in our situations. The truth is that they were playing in your face first, wasn't they? They was playing around you first, and you wasn't even doing nothing. You wasn't even showing no hate at all. You wasn't doing until they started playing in your face, right? So what that tells you is it was demonic spirits behind them people that detected you. It was spirits behind them that detected who you really was. And so now, hear me closely, you got to start preparing for being boxed out of situations and systems, being boxed out of opportunities, and you can't, and you don't know why. You don't know why they boxing you out. You don't know why they hate you, and you ain't done nothing, because it's demonic spirits behind the people that is manifesting through the people. Those spirits are manifesting, and they can say no, don't help that person, don't help, and the person might not even know why. They don't want to help you. Like a stubborn spirit that is manifesting against you. And that demon don't want to let you go no further. And so guess what you got to do? You got to be willing to become a soldier on the streets, to where God would take care of you in the wilderness. And see, for a real man, back to responsibilities, you're gonna have a feeling like the devil might come to you like, well, man, look, you gotta be asking people for stuff now. Your pride, you get pride, you know what I'm saying? And when you're on the streets, now you gotta be all social again. Now you gotta be opening up to people again. You know what I mean? You gotta be dealing with people again. When you're on your own, you be, you know, when you're doing your own thing, you back and forth to work. You ain't got to deal with people. Now you're homeless. Now you got to talk to people again. You don't want to do that. You got to put down your pride. You got to put down your pride. You got to humble yourself all over again. You got to look like you on a level that is for beginners, and that's not the truth. The truth is you being boxed out. So like you're like a veteran, not a beginner, but you're a veteran on the streets. You know what life is about, but you're being boxed out. You're being boxed out because satanic spirits attacked you. They attacked you, and the object is to box you out of things. That's the ultimate goal, is to box you out of having money, a place to live, and things. That's the ultimate goal. And so guess what? The true test is you just let them have it. Okay, you're not a coward. You're not a pushover. You're not a sucker. If you see a whole bunch of demonic spirits that's around you, and you know that that's where it's going, add it to your situation. You know that's on the only way that's going to go. That path is going to go. This is going to make sense if you add your situation. You know that's the only way it's going to go. Where it's a whole bunch of demonic spirits playing in your face and playing around you. That's not probably the path you're supposed to go. Think about it. Now, I'm not saying that God won't have you in that position. I'm not saying, because I've been in that position. But you got to use your discernment and say, okay, I've been through this before, right? Have I achieved my spiritual military objectives? I have, right? Like America is going to war with Iran. This stuff is it's escalating. So I've already achieved my spiritual military objective where I don't have to be here in New York. So now I got options. So you gotta be aware of your environment, your situation, and your objectives. God will give you spiritual objectives. That's another thing about a high-ranking person. They have spiritual objectives, right? And it doesn't require money necessarily all the time. When your spiritual objectives is accomplished, now you have to make sure you're not just spinning your wheels into a situation where you're just doing it to be doing it. You're doing it because societies tell you this is the way you should go. You should get that job right there. But you've seen already what kind of spirits at that job. You've seen gay people at that job, lesbians. When you walked in, they had a gay. Let's just say you're a Christian. This is a perfect example. You're a Christian, right? You go to apply at this certain job. But when you go to the job, the first thing you notice is it's a gay flag on the desk besides the application. It's like a little one, like a little gay flag. You know you're a man of God. You know you're a woman of God. You start looking around, you see a whole bunch of gay people, all this stuff, lesbians, trannies, and everything. You think God wants you to work there? Cause see, what I'm trying to show you is more of that's going to be going on the average job. That's what I'm saying. You see what I'm talking about? The average job is going to start to be like that. And I'm just being real, and it's not hate. It's because, see, what really actually happens is we begin to be hated if we take those positions. That's what happens. You ain't even got to tell them you're a Christian. Spirit's gonna manifest. They gonna see your good ways, your good fruit is gonna agitate these people, and you ain't even got to tell them. I challenge you to try it like that. Don't tell nobody you're a Christian. Just be a good person to them. Don't tell them you're a Christian. And then and see how you still get mistreated. So it's not because you're a Christian. It's the essence of what a Christian is that they hate. The goodness, the love, the good vibration. Where you ain't got no problems, you chill, you ain't in nobody's business, you ain't on that kind of vibration. It's like people can't stand to be with somebody that's around somebody that's cool. Like they want to disturb that, like a knucklehead. You know, you just sitting back chilling. It's like somebody want to disturb that. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to let that flow. That's what, back to that flow. You at a job and you just chilling at your lunch break. You just flowing, right? You eating on your phone, and somebody just can't stand to see you flowing, like, and you ain't got no problems. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's a certain type of spirit that is a constant disturbance. They have to disturb or try to attempt to disturb people's vibration. That's a person that's disturbed within themselves. They not at peace. That's why that's the only thing they can put out in the atmosphere. They can't they say good vibes only, but they don't have any good vibes. When you have good vibes, you know how to let people flow, right? And you just let them be. Because ultimately, I am not your judge. Who am I to come and play around your energy? Who am I to play around your energy? I'm only a man like you. Even though I'm a prophet, God will call me to judge things just like a person in the courtroom. I would judge things just like a person in the courtroom when the time comes. But on a step-by-step basis, I don't move like that. God don't call me to move like that, where I'm just sitting around pointing fingers, waiting for this person to do something wrong. Nah, you ain't gonna never see me on no energy like that. See, that's not a spirit of God. That's why we have to be very careful, because between correction and you really almost got like a knucklehead spirit, right? Where you can't let people flow. And sometimes I'm gonna tell you, you could be a great human being, and you have to learn the art of letting other people flow and being parallel with it. It's an art, and some people are better at it than others, and some people are on different levels of it than others, of just letting people flow, say what they feel. See, let's just say, for example, you may be a cool person where, you let people flow as far as their energy. They can just chill and sit back, right? But you don't let them flow as far as what they feel. You don't let them flow as far as what they feel from the heart and how they feel. At that point, you get uncomfortable with letting a person flow like that. So it's different levels. You know what I mean? It's different ways. So it's different. It's not as simple as you think. To actions and words and then just to energy, just being calm and just like walking into a library and sitting down at I'm gonna tell you a good art to teach you how to flow or let others flow. You go to a library, you sit down and read a book. You got somebody sitting right across from you. You can't be awkward and keep showing eye contact. Your energy can't bother that person. You got all these other people around you, and your energy has to be to itself, and it has to be channeled into what you're doing. And you can't bother this other person's energy and bother this person over here. And see, some people's energy is like that. It's haywire. It's haywire, right? So the test is, go to some place like a library or a cafe where you got to sit down and you drink a cup of coffee, and you can't bother this guy next to you. You can't talk to him to try to make yourself feel comfortable. See, that's how some people do it too. Well, you got to keep talking to the person. Really, you're a bugaboo, right? You got to keep talking to this person. But but you're not talking to them because you're positive. You're talking to them because you can't let your energy just let them be. Just let them be. So to make yourself feel comfortable, some people got to talk to the person. See, when you're human, you've been on all kind of levels, right? But then you grow as a sensei. Like, okay, I'm not going to say nothing to this guy, even though I feel a little uncomfortable. This is good social skills. You know what I'm saying? Even though I'm feeling a little awkward, Like I want to say something to this person, but but okay, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna just sit here and I'm gonna learn the discipline, the art of channeling all my energy into what I'm doing, and nobody else even feels my energy. You know how hard it is for people to do that? So the mind readers have it the hardest because those type of people cannot channel their energy into what they're doing. See, I'm so good at this, I don't even think about the person in the next room. I don't think about the person downstairs often, like in everything, because I have learned the art of channeling my energy into what I'm doing, like this video. You know what I'm saying? People that don't learn this, people that don't learn the art of channeling their energy, will always wind up putting it on somebody else. And that's the difference. They put it on somebody else, and then it becomes a disturbance. So you have to learn the art of really having good vibes. Good vibes to me is inviting other people's vibration, letting it flow, and don't say nothing to make yourself feel comfortable, or don't say something in a manipulative way to make somebody else feel uncomfortable so that you feel comfortable. Some people do that. They talk and you jab at people because you're really uncomfortable, because you're being lazy instead of sitting there and not saying anything and just letting the atmosphere flow. You have to say something to make yourself feel comfortable. You have to aggravate that person to make yourself feel comfortable. And you gotta remember too, man, there's some people that's just not comfortable around good vibration. No, they're not. No, they're not. And how you know is because they gotta always mess up the mood. They gotta always mess it up. If you're too nice, too sweet, they gotta rub you the wrong way so they can feel comfortable. Because that's their level of vibrational energy, which is down here with negativity and drama. So if I'm not on that person got to kind of manipulate to make you be on it. You know what I'm saying? To make themselves feel comfortable, because they can't channel their energy properly where it don't mess with you because you're good. You know what I'm saying? See, this is the higher level of understanding. You ever been around people like this? And this is why stuff happens the way it does. They can't just let you be, and you could make them a better person, but the problem is they pull you down to make themselves feel comfortable, because they know they're not really on that level, right? So how do I chill? You know what I mean? How do I be me? And see, they'll accuse you of not letting them be themselves. Well, how did I stop you from being you? I ain't stop you. You felt that. I'm not like you. I'm on positivity. I'm on positive vibe. And I'm going to be me. Okay, I'm not going to be like that. But don't blame me and say I don't let you be who you are. I'm going to let you be who you are. And people will say, oh, well, nah, I can't be myself around you. That's a socially lazy person. The reason why they're like that usually because you're challenging them to be better. You're challenging them to not talk about negative stuff all the time. You're challenging them to not be a negative person, a drama person. And so they'll think you're boring too. Oh, wow, because I ain't talking crazy? Because I'm cool? See, but when you get my age, you begin to attract mature people like this. Because mature people begin to enjoy their peace. Like that's a sign of a person that got their life together. If I got peace, I'm a strong person because I've done something to have a non-turbulent atmosphere, right? Which means I'm either a strong person, even a man of war, because I got peace. To have peace, you got to go to war. So, sometimes But you know, peace is not always just quietness. It's not. It's not always just quietness. It, peace is when, I'm gonna say it this way, in a simple way. Peace is when things are at peace. When things are at peace, things are at peace. When your finances, when food, that's peace. If you got quietness and you ain't got no food, that's not necessarily peace. Quietness. Some people take it for granted. Me, if it's a peaceful situation, I appreciate that. I can vibe off of just quietness and peace. It's like it's a sign of strength. You follow me? If it's turbulence and everything going on, like I said, now you can't flow. Now you gotta go, right? Because it's too much yapping and talking. See, that's why I'm even got to leave this situation, you know? Because it's just too much talking. I'm too strong. See, sometimes you're too strong for people to be talking. You've done too much for people to be talking. And that's when you gotta move away with self-respect, because this atmosphere is not for me. In other words, this atmosphere can't be talking to me. It can't be. This atmosphere can't be talking to me. Because do you see what we're doing in the world? Do you see what's happening to the world? Okay, so this atmosphere right here, where this little petty stuff, like, that can't be talking to me, addressing me. So then that's when you remove yourself. See, sometimes it happens like that because, certain spirits put themselves in your position, in your way, through jealousy or, through humans talking word of mouth. And these people, you can clearly see, when they put people in your path on purpose, you can tell they're not meant to be here. How you know? Because their vibration is nowhere near yours. Their level of intellect is nowhere near yours. So how did they end up here? Because somebody put them there. This is how you also understand spies and understand other people that these devils put around you. It's because as soon as you hear somebody's vibration, you know they're not naturally supposed to be there. When you're really on a high level of spirituality, you can feel when somebody's supposed to be in your life. You can feel when it's right, when certain people are in your life. But now with all the gang stalking and everything, we live in a fake society. We live in a fake society where none of them people supposed to be in your natural daily routines. They put themselves in your path. They don't deserve to be there, and they don't supposed to be there. See, back in the day, before the gang stalkers and everything took over the community, you could go outside and meet people naturally. And it was a natural thing. I'm not going to say it was always a divine thing, but you had enough quietness in the atmosphere to figure out if you like that kind of person. You know what I mean? You had enough quietness to talk to that person and see what's up. It ain't even like that. You notice that? Like that, let me stop and talk for you to them? Not like that, right? You know what it's like? It's like it's a whole bunch of turbulence in the world around our atmosphere, to where women are almost less approachable. They're less approachable. You ever walk past women and it's not that, they're not thinking like that because there's so much danger in the world. There's so much danger in the world that they shut down. Well, they ain't even thinking about people when they walk past people. See, back in the day, you walk past a woman, she give you the vibe. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know what I'm saying? Y'all got that eye contact, or something happened where y'all just clicked at that moment. And that's when that's the best time to talk to somebody. Y'all have that moment. Even when y'all having a conversation, you might have a conversation with somebody, and then it's just like this moment, and then that's when you take conversation a little further. You know what I'm saying? But like sometimes you know, these days it's not like that. It's not like that at all. It's like so much turbulence around us that when people are talking to you, it's like almost like talking on a turbulent plane. Yeah, hey, how you doing, huh? And it's like turbulence everywhere. And like a door open on the plane. Yeah, hey, what's going on? You're just trying to move on as quick as possible because it's turbulence in the world creates that. You know, so but I've learned to enjoy peace, and those who enjoy peace enjoy quietness and stillness. And when you get older, you understand the beauty of quietness and stillness. It's almost like it speaks for itself as strength, victory, no enemies, no war, no war. When there's quietness and stillness, there's no war. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, you got to make sure that you start to value peace and calmness, you know, where you just don't binge on loud atmospheres all the time and everything. Not even just for you needing to think. It's a discipline in itself also. It's a discipline in itself. Just like channeling your energy where you're not feeding off of something else, feeding off of drama. Because that's the next step. If a drama person can't create the drama, they gonna watch something on TV that's drama, or watch something on their phone that's drama, and they gonna feed off of that. Oh, well, how about I ain't gonna feed off of no drama? I ain't gonna feed off of no negativity, nothing negative. Something positive, something peaceful. See, this is how you get your energy back right. You know what I'm saying? Because people think they got their energy right and they don't. But ain't nobody gonna say, oh, I don't have positive vibes. Everybody gonna say I have positive vibes for the most part. But it's simplistic. It's not in depth. You know what I'm saying? It's not in depth. So when it's in depth, you know, you gonna understand how to channel your energy. You gonna understand how to let people flow. You gonna understand how to flow yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's, you know, positive vibes have to meet with others. You know, when you meet with others and you can't let people be they self because you're a control freak. Especially if you meet like a strong personality and that person talk just as much as you. You gotta be able to flow and let that person be they self and learn. Okay, the dialogue that I can have with this person. Let me have dialogue with this person. And flow with this person. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you're basically trying to do when you interact with people. You know, but you're trying to flow normally, naturally, so they can see you for who you are, you know? But the truth is, these present wars and things like that puts a lot of our peace and tranquility and things like that. It puts it all in danger to where now people is not even focused on those aspects of life as much. They're not focused on it. They're not focused on it. They're focused more on survival. That's what people are focused on. They're focused on survival, and so especially with women are going to be the first that kind of just draw back, which is understandable. When it becomes more dangerous out here, women are going to be the ones that's more apprehensive, you know. So, you know, that's the things that everything I just talked about, that's what puts it in danger. Everything I just talked about, all these wars, all this danger, all this stuff going on in the Trump administration, the world, all these issues. when you put vibration in the perspective of these things, most people gonna shut down and go into survival mode or just war mode, or and that's really, unfortunately, these days, with everything that changes, all these different events, because we see it on our phone, it's a little different because we can see it as soon as it happens. Something happens over there in the Middle East, we can see it as soon as it happens. Everybody see it, and everybody's changed. These things change people's vibration. When these things happen now, I'm just talking about for the present time we live in 2026. When things happen, like just like world events, and it's all on the phones, it's all on our phones. That changes people's vibration instantaneously. If it's bad enough, if the stuff is bad enough, everybody's vibration changes with it, with the stuff that happened. So in the case of this war in Iran, the war in Iran, once everybody seen that we was going to war with Iran, the whole energy of the world of America changed because everybody's aware of it, right? And for our generations that's here now, it changes everybody's vibration instantly. Now, back in the day, people's vibration was more, how I put this, their vibration was more resistant to the outer things that happened, to where they was unchanged by what happened. The ancestors were more unchanged. Now, when things happen, everybody changed with it. And I don't know if that's a weakness or it's a sensitivity to things, or people being more sensitive to things. But now, when things change, you can feel it. You can feel the difference in the atmosphere when we're going to war with Iran, and you can tell the change. You can feel the change. People are more connected, interconnected, I guess you could say, with changes like this. And so the collective vibration of the collective community changes when these wars break out and different things happen in our community, like the little girl that got killed, 7-month-old child. That's going to change things. It's always going to, these things happen, and things change for good sometimes. It's just understanding. This is why people like me fight evil so much, because when evil things happen, vibration changes. People change according to adapting to what happened. You know what I mean? That's just common nature, to adapt to a situation. If something bad enough happened, like for example, for New York, 9/11, once that happened, that was so bad. The old New York was gone. Almost like just the innocence of New York and the innocence of the world. Collectively as Americans, the whole world, the whole community of America was, it was a certain innocence that was taken from us when that happened. How we feel, how we understand how we interact with other human beings and what they'll do to us, and cruelty and evil. Whoever was responsible for it is irrelevant. It changed our understanding on how evil people can be, how cruel people can be, and it took an innocence away from our community. And for New Yorkers, it was more personal than the rest of the country. It was more personal, so it definitely changed New York, and a lot of people left. A lot of people left this country, this city, and they went somewhere else. They never came back. So, and just from 9/11 on up to now to the present time, people been constantly leaving, to where the foundational New York that y'all knew, all the players and all the people in New York in the city, it's not there anymore. That foundation is gone. And I know that being an outsider. You know, I know the foundation of New York City that once was like a lot of certain personalities decided to leave and they decided to go other places. Not necessarily always down south, you know, that's all we might think about, but some people went to other countries. Perfect example, when I first came to New York, I used to work out all the time, right? So I had a little routine. So this white woman, she used to always wave at me every time she passed me. She used to always wave at me, man. And she stopped me one day finally and talked to me, and she was like, I'm going to France. I'm gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss your sexy tip. She said, I'm gonna miss your sexy, but basically, and she said she was going to France to live. You know what I'm saying? That, you know, that became the new dream. That's the new dream. Like what people saying, I believe it. The American dream is now to leave, and it's not because of the land or lack of land and things like that. It's because of the elements that no matter what we do, the minds of the people don't change. The minds of the people don't change. It don't matter how much money you give people. This is how you know hope is in danger. Because no matter how much money we give out, the main thing that everybody's soul feels right now is money. You need more money, right? That's the average person. Like, your real problem right now is money. A lack of it, right? So if we all in America had money, would the mindsets of the people change to stop killing each other and killing? And this isn't just the streets. I'm not talking about just the hood. Because you got people in the suburbs killing their own family all the time. It happens at least once a year now. And I don't think all the stories hit the news. Which means it's a lot of times where the war, these things that happen don't hit the news. People kill their family, whatever. I mean, in certain cities, because this is one thing I became very conscious of, is that you can't hear about every killing and murder in every city. It's impossible. They can't spend 30 minutes talking about every murder on local news. It has to be a big deal, you know what I'm saying, for them to cover it. Which means they can't cover all the killers in Cincinnati, all the killers in Daytona, all the killers in Miami. You know what I mean? They can't cover all those killings. So the only killings that are addressed is like the ones that's like shocking, something that's really shocking. You know, but they can't cover every nook and cranny killing in the country. They can't. They're only going to cover basically the local killers in your neighborhoods and a little bit of local news. A little bit of national killings. That's all they can cover. They can't cover all the killings in the whole country. So sometimes you don't really know all that's going on. You don't know all the killers that's going on. You don't know all the stuff that's going on. And you know, sometimes it's good to go check so that you can come back into tune with the collective vibration of what's all that's going on in the world. Besides national news, CNN can't do it either. Your local news can't do it, and CNN can't do it. You have to actually navigate where you just check for stuff. Like you Google stuff, like how many killings that happened. The main killings that happened, the child killings, family killings. That's how you probably find these family killings. Go look, Google it, family killings in in the state of Texas or the state of Florida, and you'll find, oh man, I didn't see that on the news. Nope, you're not going to see it. You're not going to see these random killings where people kill their own family, everything like that. See, how can we change that with money? We can't change it. This is why politicians start realizing the necessity of a preacher, because we are the ones that changed the morality of the people. The politician ain't gonna do it. He ain't gonna take the time to talk like I'm talking. It's not his position. That's why we get respect from Barack Obama and all these other people. They gonna respect leaders, religious leaders. Why you think they do that? Because it's an understanding that we are the ones that's gonna change the morality of the people, not the politicians. The politicians only gonna hand out laws. He or she is gonna only hand out laws when things get bad. If things get bad, he ain't gonna be able to sit down and talk and say, yeah, well, y'all need to do this and y'all need, and a politician ain't gonna do that. But so long, he gonna come out and address what's going on and might express a little bit of his or her feelings on it, and that's it. That's all they're gonna do. They ain't gonna sit down and really talk to you and go through the logistics of the situation. And no, they're not gonna do that. A preacher gonna do it. A preacher is gonna challenge the morality of the people. That's why you can't shut it down. You know what I'm saying? Because they the only ones gonna do it. Politicians ain't gonna change the people. And see, most of the politicians starting to realize it. It dawns on them, these people are necessary. Because people are going to church, and whether you believe in Christianity or not, they're becoming a better moral person in many cases. They're becoming better as a husband, as a wife, and the preacher is the one that's actually making that possible. See, if you really take it seriously and you look at give and take, like in the jungle, in the streets, you really start to respect and look at things from the right perspective. Like, this man is like helping families come together and become better. I mean, in some churches, you can even get marriage counseling easily, and they have all type of marriage teachings and things like that. You gotta respect that. That's why people, like, when you look at it at face value, besides what you believe in, and you look at the impact that a preacher has on a community, you have to respect it. But it takes somebody that's real. You know what I'm saying? It takes people that's real. That's why you have people from the streets will show respect, because it's not just the material things. It's like, okay, I realize that he's making families better. You know what I'm saying? And families are coming together and going to church together and having an outing together. If they at home, like most black families, everybody in their own room. Families don't even eat at the same table no more. They take their plate to the room. Families where I come from, black families, we don't eat at no same table no more. Nobody don't do that no more. It's awkward. It's almost awkward. Because, and here's what broke it up. TV. TV is what broke it up, really. Because everybody want to watch something on TV. And we ain't going to agree on it. So sometimes we have to come together and agree on something so we can be together. But more times than not, kids going to want to watch what they want to watch. And that's why they want to go in the room and eat their food. And vice versa, you watch something in the room. And sometimes a couple can't even be together in the same room watching TV together. Because he wants to watch something on YouTube. She wants to watch the Lifetime channel. Women want to watch the Lifetime channel. She want to watch Lifetime. He want to watch building boats or something like that. While he eat his food, he want to watch something about building a boat. And so, family, ironically, have distance in the house when it comes to eating a meal together because of television. So when you find a man of God that brings everybody together and go to church, and now children and parents and the wife and the husband is forced to come together, it's old school connection. It keeps that old school connection of the family unit alive. Real ones gonna respect that. They gonna respect that, especially if they got all kind of programs for the kids and everything like that to get involved in and everything. They gonna respect that, man. So for people that's like Satanists and witchcraft people, see, That's what we take off on you right there. That's what we take off on you as Christians, because you ain't really doing nothing for the community like that, where the family unit can come together and get something, and it's enriching of the whole family. You know what I'm saying? And it's stuff for the kids. It's stuff besides witchcraft or spirituality, and just showing you how to be a better human being. You know what I'm saying? For the whole family unit. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got no structures like that in our community. And like I've explained it before, man, whether you love Christians or not, we the ones out here feeding these homeless people. We the one feeding the homeless people. I don't see no witchcraft people feeding no homeless people. I can show you a million Christian soup kitchens. I ain't never been fed by no Muslim soup kitchen. Ain't no Muslims out here feeding no homeless people. Let's keep it 100. So see, when you start looking at it, man, you have to respect the Christian over all these other religions and spirituality, man, because we out here feeding people, man. That's facts. I know many times I done been fed by Christian people. You know what I'm saying? That's facts. That's facts. I ain't never been fed. I don't know if I ever been fed by no Muslim people. I'm talking about America. I'm just saying here in America. I ain't never seen no Muslim people come out here and feed the community and all of that stuff. Give clothes to the community and everything like that. See, that's the sign of the difference between religion and spirituality, because spirituality gonna see the needs of the people. Spirituality gonna see all this poverty and all these poor people, hungry people. A religious person gonna walk past all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Hunky-dory. Hunky-dory. Hunky-dory, walking past all this stuff. See what I'm saying? Spiritual person gonna look at it, say, have compassion. A spiritual person gonna have compassion. He gonna look at that person. Man, you want something to eat, man? Yeah, I want some. What you want to eat? Oh, just give me a cheeseburger out of there, man, with some fries. I got you. All right, I got you. Boom, come back out. Hamburger and fried Christians do that all the time. I ain't never seen a Muslim man in Muslim apparel give something to a homeless person ever in my life. I ain't never see it. See, that part right there lets me know the difference between religion and spirituality, man. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never seen no Muslim out here. I ain't never seen a team of Muslims helping the homeless people, helping the homeless community. Jehovah's Witness, I ain't never seen them out here. Let's talk about it. I ain't never seen them, no Jehovah's Witness. They'll come around and knock on your door. Yeah, they'll come around and knock on your door though. But have you ever heard them just do something for you like a Christian? Just give you some food. Do they start any organization, Jehovah's Witness organizations, and just help the people and give food to the people? Nope. I ain't never seen a Jehovah's Witness do it. I ain't never seen. I'm just talking about the jungle. I'm talking about what's out here in these streets. What people respect. What we respect is these Christians come out here and feed people. You know what I'm saying? They clothe people. And real people looking at it like that. And that's how even the Christians expect you to look at it. If you're real, if you call yourself a real street person, how you can't respect what we doing? We out here, we feeding the people, we helping the people, clothing the people, everything. It's an understood language between Christians and real people, the street people, the real street people. They can understand it, man, because they understand struggle and everything like that. If we out here helping the people, look at these other religions, look at these politicians, they ain't doing nothing. You almost barely got food stamps on. These food stamps barely on. We the ones filling in the gaps when all that stuff breaks down. I guarantee you when the food stamps are being cut off and everything, all that stuff that was going on during the government shutdown, I guarantee you Christian churches came out here and fed people. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you. In fact, because they knew it was happening, they went out their way to go feed people. Guarantee you that. I know how they think. I guarantee you. So then, a witchcraft person, you're one dimensional. You can't fight us on all levels, and you can't get respect on all levels. No, buddy. We affect the family unit. We help the kids. You know what I'm saying? We help husbands and wives mend their problems. Feed families. Give people pantries. Ain't no witchcraft people out here giving no pantries. And that's the difference. So see, you're one dimensional, bro. Like, you know, you just like, you know, a corny person just think is we throwing witchcraft back and forth or whatever. Man, we put money out there, and me, I'm involved too. I'm out there putting millions of dollars in Vietnam. I sent millions of dollars over there already. Not a church with me by myself, with my money. My money that's meant for me to take care of myself. I'm taking care of others. Only a Christian is gonna do it, man, and enjoy doing it, and enjoy doing that. You know what I'm saying? I just sent money to Vietnam. I done sent money to South America, to Colombia. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't really gonna find no Muslims even doing that. They ain't gonna support Muslims in other countries. Not like we do as Christians. No, they ain't gonna do that. So, you know, that's the difference, man. I mean, I want people to pay attention to that, man, because besides creed and scripture, look at the deeds of people. Look at the deeds that men do, and look at what they don't do. Look at what all these religious people don't do. So if we depended on them to run the world, they wouldn't take care of nobody. They wouldn't take care of the world. They'll take care of who? That's what you need to look at. These Christians out here, man, see, I look at it from a real person perspective, man. They the ones feeding people out here. These prostitutes getting fish plates from the church. All this stuff going on. These pimps even getting some food. They feeding everybody. And they don't ask you if you're working. Are you working? No. Because some people go by the scripture that goes, if you don't work, you don't eat. Okay, you think a real Christian gonna ask you if you're working before I give you this food? A Christian know you ain't working, you homeless. I ain't gonna hold this food back. You say, well, cause you ain't working, you ain't gonna eat. Or do you got any plans to work? You know, some religious people will say that. Do you have any plans to work before I give you this food? You looking for work today? Because, you know, you're going to always be out here begging if you ain't looking for work, which is true. That's true. But you don't think that person know that? Let's keep it 100. You don't think that person know that? So the best thing you can do, honestly, to win souls is to be a beacon of love and show that you care about their needs, right? Then they'll receive the word of God. They'll think about God. When you feed them and walk away and don't say all no extra stuff like sometimes, and you make people despise. Now they just eating the food like they're using you now. Cause you done made them mad. Now they're eating the food like they're using you. But if you would have just said, yo, here's something to eat, man. I see what you're going through. Have a good day. Have a blessed day. Don't you know how that just ministered to people while he's sitting there eating? He gonna think about his childhood. He gonna think about how he grew up in the church. You never know. That person probably grew up in the church. But just because you represented Christ and you just gave him the food and walked away, that's actually what's gonna make that person think more about God. Yeah. Most likely, most Americans, you give him something to walk away, he gonna start thinking about God while he eating. Yeah. You working on them. But if you sometimes if you say something like, if you ain't working, man, you ain't gonna never get out of this situation. You can't be lazy, man. You might say, you know what I mean? So you might go a little too far criticizing that person's position. And you do more damage than good. See, the Bible says A soul winner is wise. A person that wins souls is wise. Not just that you know the truth. You know, you gotta use wisdom. And that goes from person to person. You might be able to talk to a street person a certain way about God, but then you can't talk to this other person, this more conservative person, the same way. They're gonna take it a different way. And they might not respect you. They might think you're just a weirdo. You're not a Christian. You know what I mean? Like, some people might think that about me, but see, God got soldiers in every different position. He got doctors that's Christians. He got all kind of people that's Christians. God got his people everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So I just play my position. You know what I'm saying? I play my position. You know, and what I notice, man, is just like I said, you know, Christians is the ones feeding everybody. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking at first. Cause I know these other people, man, they not out here in the streets like Christians. None of them, man. You name them. Freemasons can show you all the stuff they doing. They can have all these organizations, but they not hands-on down here they self like a Christian. A Christian is down there putting on jeans and going out there they self, handing out fish plates to the pimps and the hoes. They out there going and handing out fish plates to the pimps and the hoes. Freemasons, you ain't gonna be out there with no pimps and hoes passing out no fish plates. They might support another organization that does it. That's what they gonna do. Christians gonna be out there they self talking to the people. And we give away information without joining our organization. See, a Freemason, in order to get his information, you got to join his organization. You got to join his organization to get his level of information. Now, do you think he cares about humanity if he can't just freely give you information that can change your life? If you really cared about humanity, you would freely give away information. Jesus didn't charge nobody for information. He didn't put this this great demand that you gotta do this before you can listen to me, before you can hear this information. Before you can get this certain information, Jesus was just talking to all the people. Glory to Yahweh, hallelujah. You gotta be like that. You gotta be like Jesus. I'm putting the information out to the masses. Masses amounts. Glory to Jesus. Hallelujah. You gotta give it out to the masses. That's what I notice about them, man. They'll give you all the information when you join them. A person that really care about humanity gives information whether you join them or not. Because you care about the people. You care about humanity. So, and that goes back to feeding the people. If you care about humanity, why you ain't out there feeding the people? That's the biggest complaint I got with the Muslims. The Muslims ain't doing none of that. They ain't done it here in America. I ain't never seen no Muslims out there feeding got soup kitchens. I ain't never seen a Muslim soup kitchen. Where you know it's a Muslim, you walk in and it's a Muslim soup kitchen and they feeding everybody. I ain't never seen that in my life. I can't tell you how many Christian soup kitchens I done seen in my life that feed people, Christian people, that feed people. And love doing it. They glad to do it. They smiling, they happy. They glad to, you notice that? They happy and smiling and glad to do it. It ain't a chore to them. They glad to help the people. See, you can't resist a spirit like that. You can't criticize unless you ain't been a person that's been on the streets. You ain't been through nothing. If you've been from the streets, or if you've been through something for real, you gotta love that kind of person, man. That's why the streets love Christians, cause they out here doing stuff, man. They gain respect of the community. That's what it is. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. You feeding the people gonna respect that. You give them groceries, and sometimes the preacher, he done paid people light bills and everything, and he ain't told nobody, not even the congregation. He ain't even told the congregation. You know how many times these people come to You know how many times the streets and mothers might come to a preacher and say, yo, I'm like $70 short on my light bill. Can you help me? You know how many times he done took out his personal money and done that? See, this is the stuff that the streets gonna pay attention to, and this is the stuff that other people ain't watching, man. They just thinking about the doctrine and all of that. You know what I mean? They thinking about that kind of stuff. They not thinking about how much does this preacher actually do for the community. Before we criticize him, how much he do? Then you find out he got all this stuff and you just take it for granted, like it ain't nothing. Until you grow up, till you realize, man, that's life and death for some people. They needed that. Their marriage was in trouble, and this preacher took time to sit down and cancel this marriage. Ain't no witchcraft people doing that. Ain't none of these secret society people mending these marriages like that, man. Come on, that's what I'm talking about. So see, you've been simple-minded the whole time, thinking about, you've been one-dimensional, one-track minded, thinking like just doctrine and creed and who got the most spiritual power. And see, that's why when you wind up playing with a Christian, God tears everything apart, bro. Because we do too much for other people. You know what I'm saying? We do too much. See, what people didn't realize, even the spiritual offering that I give, man, that's helping people. That's helping other people. That's helping communities, because they're going to take that money and not only help Christians, they're going to help people on the streets, because that's what Christians do. So I know they're going to do that. I know they're going to do that, and I don't mind that. Christians that I give money to, I know for sure they're going to take some of that money and help people that is in need. People that need food, that's the main thing. Food, clothing, even some expenses paid, some bills paid. That's what they're going to do. That's what Christians do. And we're the only ones doing it. And when the government ain't doing it, we doing it. And that's why the government respect Christians. Because they know we out there. You know what I'm saying? I done been out there myself, handing out blankets, giving people coffee. I done did it myself. Hands on, down in the streets, telling people about Jesus. Down in the streets, down in the gutter where people was laying down. Where I met one woman, the worst case I met was when I was ministering on the streets at nighttime. I was with dudes hardcore like that. We Christians out there at night. Not in the daytime where, it's safe. Nah, we out there at nighttime where anything can happen. And the worst case I experienced was this one lady, man. She had AIDS and cancer. That's what she told me. She had AIDS and cancer. And she was drawn up and all skinny and laying on the streets, man. See, if I was a little older than I was now, I would have tried to get her some resources like so she could get off the streets. But I remember her telling me she didn't say HIV. I heard AIDS. She had AIDS and cancer. Maybe she used the slang, maybe it was HIV, but some people might use to say AIDS sometimes. But she had AIDS and cancer. I remember her saying she had both. And she told me, this is what she told me now, this is left to opinion. She said, you gonna be one of the angels that open up the doors in heaven for me. That's what she told me. That woman told me, you gonna be one of the angels that open up the door for me in heaven. That's what, she was a black woman. And that was like 2002. 23 years ago. So I was out there in the trenches, man. And ministering to people. And she didn't even have no blankets or nothing. She was cold. It was cold out there. She didn't have no blanket. We gave her a Bible and a blanket. And some, she had a choice between coffee and hot chocolate. And we gave her that, gave her a little cup of coffee or a cup of hot chocolate, and gave her a nice blanket. You know what I'm saying? She had AIDS and cancer. That's what she told me. See, I was a young man, so I sit there and listen. You know what I'm saying? You know, you're young, you sit there and listen. So I sit there and listen to everything she had to say. And she was telling me her whole story and everything. And she told me, she said, "You're going to be one of the angels that let me in heaven. Open the door of heaven." So we as Christians are out there, and all of us got our own individual stories of how we've been out there for the community, and the community can vouch for that for sure. You know what I'm saying? That we've been out there. You know, like that lady right there. She gonna tell y'all, I don't know what you're talking about. I seen this boy out here handing out blankets at nighttime with no strings attached. Talking to me about God and walking away. Making me warmer at night. That's what we talking about. Now, I don't know what you talking about. That's how the streets gonna defend you, man. They gonna defend your honor because they gonna defend your honor because they seen you out in the streets at night like that. Like they seen me out in the streets at nighttime. And this was years ago. This was way before this time. Like in my 20s, I was like 21? Like 21 years old out there like that. On the West Coast. That happened on the West Coast. So I was over there on the West Coast. So I got a reputation for being a Christian way over there on the West Coast. And see, sometimes you have to tell people this, man, because people act like you just became a Christian 3 years ago. I mean, it's just like the 3-year thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I've been a Christian over 20-something years, man. I've been a Christian for 23 more years. It'll be 27 years this year. 27 years. I've been a Christian for 27 years. This year. So, you know, and that's with ups and downs, that's with shipwrecks and everything like that, but I never forgot about God. I never cursed God. And then before I became a Christian, I never hated God. I never was against God. Even when I was dark and doing evil, I never cursed God. I never hated Christians. I never hated God. I never did. And that's really funny, man, because I was pretty wicked. I was pretty dark. But I never put 2 and 2 together that you supposed to hate God. You know, I never thought about it. I've never said it out of my mouth. And I've never been one of those Christians that get mad at God. Some people do, and God allows it. But me and my relationship with God is so tender, man. That's why people don't understand. I ain't never got mad at God. And some people can't say that, you know. You might have been mad at God, said all kind of stuff. I ain't never been that comfortable with God where I just get mad and say what I want to say. Nah. And it's a lot of men and women of God that have done that. And God is with them and God loves them and everything. But my relationship with God is different. Like I don't spaz out at God. I don't get mad at God. Because it's always our fault. Let's keep it real. If anything happens, it can be traced back most likely to being your fault. That's the truth. So you have to learn to say, you know what? If I go back far enough, this is my fault. It is. And if it's not, it's somebody else's fault. And that's going to be the truth. If it's not your fault, it's going to be somebody else's fault, most likely. Everything you're going through is either your fault or somebody else's fault. And it could be somebody else's fault. where you're completely innocent in a situation and it's somebody else's fault. It's not your fault. Okay? And it's not God's fault. God didn't do it. God allowed it. God gave man free will. You got to understand free will. God gave man free will to do whatever he wants to do. He made a system that is good. So then that's why you have to understand, for the world to have ended, it took a lot for it to have ended, because whatever God made that was good, why should he have to tear it apart because of man not knowing how to use it right? You see what I'm saying? So God is going to say, I made a system that's good. Why should I just tear it apart because man doing what he doing? He not doing it right, but what I made is good. I'm not going to tear it up. What he made is, what I made is good. Why am I gonna mess that up? No, man is gonna go through a lot. He gonna go through a lot using his free will for evil, but I'm not tearing up the system of free will and the world because he chose to use his free will the wrong way and what I made was good. You see what happens? So then it takes time where the world doesn't just fall apart because one man does this or some killing happened here or killing happened there. Because God gave, what God made was good. So think about, you made something that was good, and then you gave another man commandment about it, how to handle it. If he mishandled it, you gonna tear it all apart because you made something really good as free will? No, you're gonna let it be as it is and let him go through what he go through. And when you really look at it, it's also it's a problem with man not following God. He not following God. He using his free will the way he wants to use it, and I'm gonna let him go through it. I'm gonna let him go through it the way he gonna go through it, and then he gonna learn his lesson that you can't do nothing without God. You could try, but it's gonna all fall apart. So that's why God hasn't just destroyed the world. When so many people say, well, why did the world get destroyed at this point, at that point, at this point, at that point? Because God made a system and it was good. He made everything and it was good. So he can't just tear up the world and he made everything and it was good. It's not his fault. What he made was good, and he ain't gonna just tear up the world because this happened. All man, it all comes back to man's fault. Always. Whether it's these authorities over us, people in our community or whatever, it's always man's fault, man. So God is going to be in his position, and these things that happen, the understanding is it wouldn't be like this if man would follow God. That's what you're supposed to understand. If man was following God, it wouldn't even be like this. None of this would be like this. All of us will have our needs met, and everything. But like I said, even if we gave everybody money, it wouldn't be good enough for the whole community. If we gave everybody $4,000, let's say we gave people $4,000 a month for every person here that's an adult, right? We gave you $4,000 a month. I guarantee you, it won't stop the crazy stuff in the world. So, did you hear what I said? It won't stop the crazy stuff in America. It won't stop the crazy stuff in America. And that's when you know there's no hope. Because even if we give people money, it's not going to change America. And that's the main need everybody need. Everybody need money, right? So that's why most of the crimes go on. That's why most of this crazy stuff go on, right? But if we gave everybody money, they still would not change. It would still be crazy. Everybody in America know that. If we gave everybody $4,000 a month, they would not stop killing. They would not stop doing evil in the world. All this stuff will continue to happen. You see what I'm saying? All this stuff will continue to happen. So that's how we know it's no hope. I hate to say it. I got to give you the whole balance, because how's it gonna be hope? And if we give everybody money in America, it's not gonna change the people. Now, if we were somewhere else, it would change the people. If you gave them money in another country, everybody money, they would be different. In America, you can give everybody money here, and I'm gonna tell you what people gonna do. They're gonna want to rob other people for their money. If everybody get $4,000, I get $4,000. Oh, I want to rob him and get his money for $4,000. I'm gonna start a whole con game, actually, where I get, especially if they get it on a card. Oh, we gonna get that money off a card. And then if we get $4,000 from an ATM, you know how many people gonna be walking around with hundreds of dollars in their pockets? So they're gonna be robbing people like back in the day. So our most highest need is money, right? If we had that fulfilled, it still would be crazy in America, and that's how you know it ain't no hope. When money can't fix it, because that's what everybody thinking about in the back of their mind. I want these politicians to do what? Give me more money. That's what you want. That's what everybody want. But if we did get the money, we're not gonna change. We're gonna get more drugs. We're gonna get more guns. We're gonna get more everything that we doing. That's all we're gonna do. That's facts. We're gonna get more drugs, we're gonna get more guns, and if you're a user, you're gonna be doing more drugs. And if you sell drugs, you're gonna have more money to flip. Somebody get $4,000, they gonna flip that easy. Half of it even. You take $2,000 and flip that every month. Think about it. Or some months, oh well, I'll just flip the whole thing basically. The whole 4,000. People be selling more drugs, people have more guns. Everybody get a gun. The only reason most people ain't got a gun, because they ain't got over $1,000. That's the real reason. If we had over $1,000, everybody have a gun. That's the only reason people ain't got a gun. I would have been sacrificed. I'm just saying, and let's just say, even with the gun license, I would have sacrificed and got me a gun by my gun license. $1,000 a month, and I'm getting $4,000. I'm gonna get the gun license and then go get a gun. Next month or the same month, however the process go. But next time I get some money, whatever month I get, whatever month that hits right, I'm about to get a new gun. So we would have more guns. We have more illegal guns. That's facts. Let's keep it real. Everybody would be buying guns if we was getting over $1,000. So everybody, it would be more armed people. That's facts. Cause I don't know no street person that if they got over $4,000 a month, you ain't gonna get no gun. Of course. It's the first thing you gonna think about before you get drugs. You gonna think, oh man, $4,000? I can get me a gun. I'm looking for the gun plug now. That's the first thing you're gonna think about. You're gonna get it all out the way. You're gonna go ahead and get it out the way. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get me a gun. Yes, sir. That's what I'm gonna do. So, you gotta understand, man, things won't get better with money. You need to think about it. Okay, if politicians did get us more money, see, I already thought about it. What would we do? Will we get more guns? Will we get more drugs? We'll be flipping money. We'll be flipping the money and selling drugs and hustling. And we'll be doing more drugs. People be overdosing and everything, and that too. Fatty doing well. We on California they call fentanyl fatty over there. Doing fatty. You know what I'm saying? And all these other drugs. You know, cocaine, all of that. You know what I'm saying? We wouldn't do the right thing with money. That's how I see it. It wouldn't make our country better. That's sad to say. So then that's back a revolutionary to my point. You know, the man of God is the one that really gonna change the people. Not even the money. Not the money can't even change the people. That's how you know it's bad. The money can't change America. Money can't change America. And ultimately, man, that's what Trump is really shooting for. It's basically ultimately is what you trying to get him to get you more money. But I'm showing you, if you really look at that, if you really have that conversation and think about it, money ain't gonna change this country. No, the streets ain't gonna change because they got more. It's gonna make it worse. It's gonna be more drugs bought. It's gonna be more guns bought. All of that, everything. Think about it. People more drunk. Man, yeah, man. You be drinking the Top Chef stuff all the time. You ain't getting no beers no more. People on the street gonna say, beers? Man, I ain't drunk a beer seriously and since what? 2026? I ain't drunk a beer seriously. Dude gonna say, I ain't drunk a beer seriously since 2026. Man, I be getting Johnny Walker. See, some of y'all don't even know what Johnny Walker is. I be drinking Johnny Walker. Hennessy? I ain't even drinking no Hennessy. I get some Patron. I'd rather get Patron than Hennessy. I get me 3 boxes of Patron. I'm drinking no Hennessy. I've been drinking Hennessy. I'm getting Johnny Walker and I'm getting tequila. I'm getting some Patron. That's what I'm getting. Cause Patron is kind of like a little step up from Hennessy. I mean, think about it. You know, and anyway, man. You know, that's just how everybody gonna move. You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna get no better. People gonna smoke themselves to death. They gonna get cartons of cigarettes. Oh, you got 4,000. I might as well give me a carton. Might start hustling cigarettes. Some people start hustling cigarettes. Boom. I give me like 3-4 cartons and I hustle them, get more money for them. Then I pay for them. I'm gonna make sure I do that. But then some people don't like that traffic. But if you're chilling out there all the time, you know what I'm saying, ain't no problem. If you're already out there on the block, but but either that or you're gonna smoke yourself to death. You're gonna get a carton every time you get $4,000, you smoke yourself to death, man. And some people gonna eat themselves to death. They get $4,000, pizza for how long? Pizza for how long? They're gonna be eating pizza every day. Every day. So man, it just understand, bro. Understand, man. Money ain't the solution all the time. Money ain't the solution. Sometimes that's why we always important. People always, they can't make us, because with time people act like, oh, religion, it ain't, time have evolved. Well, it hasn't evolved enough for other people to do something about this hunger in the streets. Time ain't evolved enough for other people to do something about these people in need. Nobody else ain't doing nothing about it. Nobody else ain't doing nothing about it. So the respect still is given. They still giving respect to us because we still out here doing the work. So as far as it's just blind people that ain't really in connection with the streets, ain't really out there in the jungle, they don't know no better. You know what I'm saying? They look at Christianity as just only doctrine and creed, and then you got people out here putting it into action. They out here doing stuff in the streets. They out here in the streets. They see Christians in the streets, and so you can't tell them people that Christianity, that's back in the day. Well, it's right here, right now, feeding our community. That's what a ghetto person gonna say. Well, one of the weirdos trying to talk to them. What you talking about? Oh yeah, witchcraft, and you need to just do some witchcraft, manifest stuff. Well, these Christians ain't really doing nothing. That's back in the day. Well, they here and now, right over here, feeding the community, everything. That's what we believe in. We believe in something that's out here feeding the people, helping the people. That's what I'm saying. That like, if they ain't doing that, why would this? How we judge? This how we look at it. If I meet your most immediate need, then you will listen to my religion. If I acknowledge your most immediate need, then you gonna listen to what I gotta say. But if you a religious person trying to tell me something, and you sit there and talk to me, and you see I'm hungry, I'm just looking in your face, and you see I'm hungry. And you don't think nothing about that. You could just tell me about a religion. Think about that. A Christian can't do that. A real good Christian won't do that. Nope. Man, I done had, this is when I was in Florida. I was like sitting around I was like in this business area. Like the storage area, like that store where you put storage stuff at. This dude that was a Christian, I'm pretty sure he was. He went to Burger King and got me a Whopper and got me some fries and a drink and everything, man. This was a Christian. No lie, man. I don't forget nothing. This dude gave me a whole combo, brought me a whole a meal and everything, soda, everything. A Christian is gonna be different. A Muslim, they gonna drive right past you, man. They ain't gonna even say nothing to you. A Christian might come and pray for you. Let me pray for you. You know what I'm saying? Give you a couple dollars or something, man. I ain't never seen no Muslim do that to me. That's all I'm saying. I ain't never had no black Muslim come up to me and give me a couple dollars or nothing. Try to give me some food, and I can clearly see this is a Muslim. I ain't never see it happen. So then, man, I just look at stuff that's in the real world. You know what I'm saying? I'm all about that. I'm a realist. By definition, I'm a realist. I incorporate reality in everything I feel in my worldviews. If it's outside of reality, I don't see how I should be thinking about it. That's a real realist. It sounds cool to be a realist. It sounds cool, but everybody's not a realist because listen to them. They don't incorporate reality into every situation. A realist, that's what a realist gonna do. I'm gonna incorporate reality into every situation, even when it comes to my spirituality. I'm gonna look at reality. You know what reality is? They ain't gonna feed none of these Muslims and these other religions and these Jehovah's Witnesses. Ain't none of them gonna feed and give you nothing to eat. Think about it. They'll come and see you and talk about the Watchtower and all that. Give you these little booklets to read. When have they ever gave you something to eat? When? Never. I ain't never seen one of them on the streets, and they seen I was apparently homeless, and they thought to give me something to eat or a couple dollars. I done got a couple dollars from somebody on the street, but I ain't never got a couple dollars from no Muslim or no Jehovah's Witness. I done got a couple dollars off the streets from people that's on the streets they self. And this woman just say, no, take it. I'm like, nah, I don't want to take it from, nah, take it. Right? That's when I was in Sacramento, California. I was in Sacramento. You know what I'm saying? I don't forget nothing nobody do for me. I don't forget nothing. She was like, yeah, I done already got mine in. She knew what I was going through with these gang stalkers and these haters and everything. She was like, yeah. So I knew she knew what the politics was. She was like, yeah, man, you know, I done got mine in already. You getting yours in? That's something to that degree, right? So she gave me like $3. I remember she gave me $3. I don't forget nothing, man. You know what I'm saying? But then I ain't never have nobody like a Jehovah's Witness or a Muslim, or I never had them like looking like a Muslim. You know what I'm saying? And giving me, and that type of person giving me $1, a couple dollars, or nothing like that. I ain't never have, because their idea is, I guarantee you, well, you know, you're in your situation because you're doing something wrong, right? That's what it is. You know, you're doing something wrong, man. That's why you're like that. And that's true, but today, can we do something about this? Are you gonna help me today? Are you gonna see my humanity today? Or are you gonna wait for me to do something about it tomorrow? That's how you need to hear it. Glory to Yahweh. Are you gonna do something about it today? Or are you gonna wait for me to do something about it tomorrow? That's what you gotta look at. That's what you gotta look at, man. You know what I'm saying? Muslims can walk right past you. God's people ain't gonna do it, man. You know what I'm saying? Now if they got no money, pocket full of money, and I see you out there slipping like that, nah, I'm if I had a lot of money, I'd just throw you $20 or something. Maybe more. But anytime I had like something to drink, you know what I'm saying? Like I pour somebody up on the streets. I got a bottle of liquor. Yo, you want something to drink? Like, pour them out of my bottle. You know what I'm saying? You gotta understand, man. You know what I'm saying? Some people is not in real life, man, and they checking. Like people talking right outside my door. They don't think I can hear them, right? I'm a street person, man. I can hear everything. I come from the streets, man. You know what I'm saying? See, you caught already. Now, see, if I wanted a problem with you, I would already have you. See what I'm saying? I'm a real street person. I'm not a fake street person. I'm gonna tell you your problem right now that I've seen since I've been in this building. You overanalyze stuff to where it don't matter. You overanalyze stuff to where it don't make sense, where it don't even matter. For me and you, for me who I am, it shouldn't matter to you, cause it ain't gonna do no good for you either way it go. That's how I look at it. You gotta get yourself together and get your life together. Like for me, I'm not gonna, who I am ain't gonna, whether it's good or bad, it's not gonna change your situation. You thought it was, but it's not. Okay, you're just being an ignorant person, and I hate to tell you, but that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? And that might make you feel more black, but I don't see it that way, because I'm a righteous African. A righteous African gonna tell you, you being people's politics is gonna get you killed, bro. That kind of stuff gets you killed. That's the bottom line. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I've been on the streets. I don't think like y'all no more. I don't think like people like you no more. I done been on the streets so long, and in between places where that's basically still the streets, I don't think people like you. It's too dangerous to be like you. Out here talking and putting your mouth on people. You don't know who people are. I mean, people done died for less. What I tell these lames to think about is this. People done died for less, for nothing. So that means you could die for anything. A smart person, right? If people die for nothing, that means you could die for anything. Which means you could die for looking at somebody. You could die for talking to somebody. You could die for like just talking around people and playing and they get like their life. Like, you could die for that, man. In the right city. See, you in New York where it's a circus. It's a circus here, right? You go to somewhere like Chicago, you couldn't even do that. You couldn't even do that. You couldn't even do that in Southside Chicago on the old block. Parkway Gardens. You know what I'm saying? I done sent money down there. I done sent money to the old block. I'm relevant, bro. Listen. I done sent money to the old block and everything. And I'm not done. I'm not done. I mean, that church on the old block in Parkway Gardens. I'm gonna send more money to them, but right now I just can't do it right now. But see, I always got it on my mind. You know what I'm saying? There's so many people I want to help. But that church right there feeds people, gives clothes to people. That's why I really want to help. See, they the type of people. That's what I'm talking about. Down there in the old block, who helped in the old block? A Christian church right down there, giving out clothes and food, everything. I already done sent some money down there. So, you know, I mean, like, I don't take people that's acting like they street people and I give to the old block down there in Southside Chicago. It's like, you not a street person to me. So your opinion don't matter. I'm just telling you the truth. Your opinion don't matter, man. I'm connected to helping people in Chicago. I done put money in Chicago, bruh. I'm talking about now. I'm talking about during these times. And what you supposed to be? That's what we talk about. What kind of person? I'm out here, bruh. If I'm not in there, I'm out. I'm sending money there. I done been through Chicago physically. I done passed through Chicago. That speaks volumes, yeah. I done passed through Chicago. I ain't lived there, but I passed through. And I send money. That's what I'm saying. So, I don't know, like, what kind of people y'all think y'all are. I live in the real world, buddy. I talk about real geographical places that I know is gonna change your opinion of me. And if you was doing that kind of stuff you doing right there in Chicago, man, you be dead. That's why I'm telling you. You think you top notch. You think you on point. You not. You not on point. If you was in Chicago and they heard you talking outside the door, he gonna mark everybody and start watching people. I'm that smart to do it, right? But I'm a Christian, right? But you sleep on me. You know what I'm saying? I'm just letting you know how other dudes think that's just as sharp as me, right? If you was in Chicago, man, and they hear you talking outside the door, they gonna mark everybody in on this floor. And they gonna start investigating and challenging everybody, man. That's just what it is. Only reason I don't do that because I'm on a whole nother level of objective. My objective is in a different direction. But if I ain't had nothing to do and I was just like a bummy kind of, in a loser situation or in the streets kind of street situation or a loser situation, either one, I would be challenging everything out there, bro. You know what I'm saying? But it ain't. I don't get nothing from it. As a man of God, I don't get nothing from it, man. That's why I say, like, but don't ever think that because I'm a Christian, I don't know what's real. You know what I'm saying? I'm down. I can tell you about the old block when some of these lame niggas don't even know what the old block is. They don't even know what it's officially called, Parkway's Gardens. You know what I'm saying? I'm sending money down there to a Parkway Garden Church. It's called Parkway Garden Church. Oh, no, it's called Parkway Garden Christian. That sound tough, don't it? The church called Parkway Gardens Christian. That's funny to me. It sounds tough, but I send money. I done sent money down there a couple times, and I ain't done. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna send more money down there. You know what I'm saying? But they at least know my name down there. You know what I'm saying? Down there in the old block. So that's why I just say, man, stay in your lane. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I do stuff on purpose. I'm 100 on purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like this stuff that's going on around here in New York. I feel sorry for New York. New York is so misrepresented now. People don't even respect it. They don't even respect New York no more. That's even Brooklyn. Like they don't even respect this no more. Cause these young dudes just misrepresented so bad, bruh. And that's what it is. These rules and regulations get violated that we all know that's nationwide. You know what I'm saying? They violated so bad. Y'all don't get no respect. They respect Chicago. They respect Memphis, New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? They don't respect no Detroit. They respect Detroit. They don't respect New York City no more. I mean, collectively, no. Ain't nothing to respect. What's the respect? Ain't nothing popping. Ain't nothing going on. You know what I'm saying? You talking about Chicago, then you talking about New Orleans. That's what everybody talking about. I went through New Orleans too. I done seen New Orleans. That's what I'm trying to tell people. I done seen New Orleans, Chicago. I got family in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? I got family in Detroit. That was my first major city I went to was Detroit. So you have to tell a New York nigga, you know, y'all ain't the only niggas that's real. You know what I'm saying? Not these days. You know, it's a different time. Now back in the day, you know, you know, when y'all was in y'all heyday, you know, y'all golden age, you know. But that time is gone, bro. Y'all ain't like y'all used to be. Like I said, most people left New York after 9/11, and they kept leaving to where y'all ain't even got y'all foundational players. It ain't gonna never be the same, and y'all will be first in line to tell me that New York ain't gonna be like it was back in the 90s, and them people gone. They gone. They left after 9/11. A lot of people did. They left. And they kept leaving. And not just for that reason. They just kept leaving, from my understanding. And now that I come up here, it's like a clown game, bro. Because Americans took over it, you know, after 9/11. They put so much security up here. That's the main reason probably too. They put so much security after 9/11. It's just not even, it's never going to be the same. We'll never know what it was like before 9/11. Because the security is so different now, I would imagine. They gonna make sure none of that stuff don't happen no more. You know, so, you know, when I first came to New York, I had a friend that was Jamaican. He was only 20 years old. He already killed somebody. He already had a body under his belt. Once you hang with the Jamaicans, I feel like I got all Africans. I don't need to explain nothing. I'm just keeping it real. I don't need to explain nothing to black folks. Cause in my opinion, Jamaicans are more thorough than y'all. And you will say the same thing, right? Okay. So once I start hanging around a Jamaican, I met his mom. This dude was a killer. Okay. Once I started hanging on I was in the 30s on Church Avenue. Only people that's the Jamaicans know what I'm talking about. I was on the 30s on Church Avenue, man. In Brooklyn, right here in Brooklyn. Walking with my friend and everything like that. So once you know, he caught a body, he killed somebody and everything. That was my homie. Me and him used to drink together, hang together. I met his mother, all of that stuff. She was nice. You know, I showed love. She showed love. It was all love. It was no disrespect. Not at all. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I went. You know what I'm saying? It was love. I left. Because I took all this stuff with him. Because he was going to his mom's house. I took all his clothes, helped him to take all his clothes to his mom's house. So I helped him do that. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, so I already been around whatever you think you are. You know what I'm saying? That's just all I'm saying, bro. That's all we saying. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, and God knows that. So it's like, for me to be constantly tested, it brought a war. Because I already been through this. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not, like, you just want to be, you the type of people that just want to be in a show. You want to be in a story. You know what I'm saying? So you'll start problems. I need to be tested for me to be, for me to coexist. But really the truth is you want to be in the story because you heard about my reputation. So all you want to do is try to incorporate yourself through trying to test me. And for a grown man like me, it just starts a war. It doesn't make sense to me. Because at some point, at some age, when I'm older than Malcolm X, right? I'm older than Malcolm X. So I demand my respect. I'm not a child. I'm not a BG. I'm not a little baby gangster. And if I don't tell you that, and I don't tell you my age, I'm older than Tupac. I'm older than Malcolm X. So I'm not a BG. I'm not a baby gangster. And as long as you think I'm a baby gangster, we're going to have more than a baby problem. We're going to have a bigger problem. And that's that. That's all. I've been around the killers. That's what I'm saying. Now, if you're jealous, you're jealous. You're a gay, jealous diva. And that's all it is. You know what I'm saying? Listen, let me tell you something, bro. I've been around the killers already. Okay? I don't care what you think. It doesn't matter what you think. You need to listen to this information before you get yourself hurt. You're retarded thinking about other stuff. You need to think about what's in front of you. Because as soon as you think, I won't hurt you, just like Nas says, I got a lot of stuff to lose. I got more to lose than you do, but I'm a rider. I done got in the car with the intentions of shooting somebody with a gun. Have you ever done that? Okay, so I'm a real rider. I done got in a vehicle with guns. Have you ever done that? You've never done that. Okay, so then you're not a rider. A rider, let's tell the new generations what a rider is. A rider is somebody that get in the car with the intentions of shooting guns and shooting somebody. That's a rider. Not somebody that ride hard and gang stalking. You a rider. Oh, but you ain't never got in the car with the intention of shooting somebody with guns. No, you ain't me. You not me. That's what I'm trying to show you. It don't matter what you think. That's why the best thing for you to hear is it doesn't matter. It's over. It's World War III. It doesn't matter what you think anymore. That's off the table. They worried about you. They ready to hurt you. I know how the streets is talking. They want to hurt you, bro. They want to. My reputation ain't worried about no more. They thinking about you. For starting all these problems, and you had enough information the whole time. You seen me this whole time. They seen me in Queens for 3 years. I had an apartment in 3 years. Ain't no need to try to act like you just like this is new. This is not new. You knew me. You seen these same crazy Freemasons and crazy secret society people was seeing me in Queens for 3 years, right? They seen me in Queens for 3 years. It's no excuse. It's no excuse. This was supposed to be over with 2 years ago. When I left Queens and I went down south at the end of 2024, that was supposed to be the end right there. You followed me all around California, all around North Carolina. You ain't trying to figure out nothing. Listen, you already know who I am. You mad you couldn't win the war and you almost dead for it, and that's all there is to it. Okay, that's what we really at. You ain't Jedi mind tricking me, sucker. You don't need to know nothing about me. You already know enough about me to know I'm a good person and I mind my business. You want to see a show? Other niggas beefed up my reputation and all of this and all of this and all of that stuff and instigated a situation. Listen, bro, it's already on, bro. You don't listen. You don't need to you don't need to say nothing else. It's already a war anyway. It's already a war anyway. It don't matter what you say. It don't matter if you think I'm a good person or not. It's a war anyway. For what you done against me. You forgot about my judgment. You know what my judgment is? I hate you. And guess what? Guess what? It's a war to the end. Okay? That's how we going with this. It ain't no truce. It ain't no love. I get too much respect, bro. That's what you didn't realize. I get too much respect. I ain't no BG. I ain't no little baby gangster out here. Okay, your opinion ain't nothing. You a local at best. You a local at best, buddy. I guarantee you ain't been to California. You ain't been nowhere. Now imagine your rinky-dink opinion changing my situation. That's what we talking about, man. Imagine your opinion changing my situation where people see me differently in California. Imagine them seeing me differently. It's not going to happen. That's why I love it. Because I don't have to depend on New York for no reputation. I can go get people in California to vouch for me. Yo, I go back there. Yeah, where my dude at? Oh, he been around here? He already know he done put me in with another person. Oh, you seen him lately? You know what I'm saying? I come through that tipsy. You know, seen him lately? Showing my face and everything. That's how I am in California. My face ring, I got that face. People will never forget my face. I got the eyes and the face. They never forget it. So I mean, them grown men with that's a grown man with money. That ain't no scrub like you. Know what I'm saying? I got somebody I can go get money from right now in Queens. I can borrow money. I can go get money. You don't play with somebody like that. I paid money on the streets. I get loans on the streets. Not loans from a bank. I can go get loans from a bodega, and then guess what? I can go get. Listen, what that tell you, man? You know what the best thing to have, as far as street credibility, is money. Good with money. That's the best street credibility you can have. You good with money, paying your money back. I borrowed money and paid it back in the streets of New York City. That's a grown man. You a broke person. I don't care about your opinion. That's what I supposed to say. You ain't messing with no scrub, buddy. I got numbers. I got numbers over here. And you could think whatever you want. You could think I'm a sex predator, whatever you want. Go ask these women what I am in New York. Yeah, go ask these grown women what I am. One woman said somebody should be shot in it. Somebody should be shot in the head. Talk about my sexuality. That's what she said. Somebody should be shot in the head talking about my sexuality. A female said that. She said it. I ain't say that. I ain't provoked the conversation. She said somebody should be shot in the head. It was random. She said it randomly. Somebody should be shot in the head if they're talking about your sexuality. That's what I'm saying. I got women that can vouch for me. So I'm tripping off you. You in trouble, buddy. I'm not. I got women can vouch for me right here in New York, all the way back to California. Oh yeah, buddy. Oh yeah. You in trouble. I'm not. I'm not in trouble at all. Y'all know you thought I was. I'm not. I'm not in trouble at all, little buddy. See, you thought I was a BG. You thought I was a little nigga. I ain't no little nigga over here. Like I told you, man. I'm the same age as Malcolm X. I'm older than Malcolm X. I'm older than Tupac Shakur. How you think I'm gonna be tried, man? I'm older than them. I'm older than Malcolm X. I'm older than MLK. I'm older than Tupac Shakur, right? Imagine me being tried at my age. It's not gonna happen, bro. You think you trying me, you ain't. Cause you definitely ain't talking to me. You ain't talking to me. And as long as you don't say it to my face, you definitely ain't talking to me. That's one thing that remains from the times we were kids to the time we get old. If you can't say it to my face, don't say it at all, buddy. You ain't getting no respect for it. And I don't care what group you with. I don't care what organization you with. I don't care where you come from. If you don't say it to somebody's face, if you don't say it to somebody's face, you a sucker. You a punk. It's straight like that. You don't get no points for it, not one. If anything, you become in the negative because you a coward. You know what I'm saying? You saying it safely behind closed doors. You ain't gonna say nothing to my face. And for the whole streets, you need to know, ain't nobody ever called me no sex predator to my face. Ain't nobody ever called me a pedophile to my face. So what would you think? Maybe you didn't know this. Maybe you thought because of all the stuff you heard, oh, he running and ducking and hiding from this stuff. Oh, guess what? Ain't nobody ever, God knows this is true. God knows this is true. Ain't none of them ever said it to my face. Oh, they'll say it around the corner. You'll say it around you like a coward. You'll say it in a roundabout way where it's safe, where I can't say you said it. Yeah, you think I'm stupid. But you know you ain't gonna say it to my face because I'm always strapped, buddy. You know that. Of course I'm gonna be. I hear all these stuff people talking. What do you think I'm gonna be around here slipping? I'm not slipping at all. You should know that. I'm not slipping at all, buddy, and that's all you need to worry about. That's all you need to be thinking about. I'm not slipping whether I was a sex predator or not. See, one thing I learned, hey, listen, even if somebody was a sex predator, hey, he ain't slipping. You act like he can't kill you. You act like he can't hurt you. He could be one, but what? Hey, he might listen. He might be strapped, won't he? Hey, he could be a pedophile. You don't think he's strapped? How you know? You see, that's how goofy some people are. That's how goofy people are, bro. Something you ain't even think about. You know why? Because you ain't a street person. You know what I'm gonna think? Hey, whether he a pedophile or not, he might be strapped. Especially if he doing that kind of stuff, he might be strapped. He should be. Think about it. If he doing that kind of stuff, he ain't strapped. He probably is. And guess what, buddy? I carry weapons, bro. So I don't care I don't care what you feel. Guess what? I carry weapons, and I think you're a little too comfortable. See, it's a sucker like you think, so simple-minded, like, because a person got these accusations against them, they ain't got no weapons, they just a person running scared. Running scared, and because he got these accusations, you think in your mind, this person just running scared. But what about when somebody got weapons? What about somebody got weapons? Whether you right or wrong, you right? What about that part? You ain't think about that. That didn't cross your mind. That I might be over here with weapons while you talking reckless. You ain't think about that. Cause you ain't really no street nigga. That's what I'm saying. If you was, that's the first thing you gonna think about. That's the first thing I'm thinking about. But see, if you just fully, this culture stuff, that's why I'm saying this culture stuff done drove people crazy, bro. It done drove people crazy. That's all it is in a nutshell, is the culture. And I could care less. I could care less. I was a teenager in the 90s when we were selling crack. Yeah, I done sold crack before. I done bought real crack cocaine and cut up real crack rocks. You ever done that? And guess what? I ain't never smoked crack one day in my life. I ain't never smoked crack. Oh, some people fell off. Some of these drug dealers, come on, keep it real. You fell off, you smoked crack a little bit. Oh, you ain't from the hood if you don't know nobody like that. Oh, they sold crack back in the day, but they kind of fell off. Start smoking crack a little bit. We don't take too many points off because we know the G you used to be. We know you was real and you probably still real, but some people, they got on the crack after they sold it. They started smoking crack, started smoking the pipe. They got on the pipe, how we say it in the South, they got on the pipe after they was selling crack. That'd be some of the coolest dudes too, but that's how it happened. You know what I'm saying? Being cool, think you the coolest, you the baddest. Should I hit this crack? Hey, I've been offered cocaine before in my life, but I ain't never do it. Hang around drug dealers, that's what to do it. Cause they, drug dealers do cocaine. They don't do crack. Some of them do. But I was around drug dealers that did cocaine, and they offered me cocaine. But by the time I started selling, I was already prepared to not do cocaine. So I ain't never do cocaine in my life, but I was offered by drug dealers when I was hanging around drug dealers. Smoking weed with drug dealers. You know what I'm saying? That kind of stuff. You ever rode around smoking weed with drug dealers? You know what I'm saying? How you ever rolled around smoking weed with drug dealers? Dudes you sold drugs with? I done that, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, they offered me cocaine. I'm like, nah. I had a strong mind. I was the youngest dude, but I had a strong mind. So, I ain't never do no cocaine. I could have, because I was around drug dealers, So, man, that's just like, that's my story, man. That's why, like, some lame niggas is just, you just jealous. That's what it is, and something I don't relate to as a ghetto dude, like a ghetto survivor like me. I don't relate to no jealous nigga. You know what I'm saying? I'm always around somebody trying to do something or got something or they hustle or they doing something. But a jealous nigga sitting back posing and, a player hating nigga, nah. We glad to get rid of you. The streets glad to get rid of niggas like you. So once we detect you as a player hater, we glad to get rid of niggas like you. Cause listen, a player hater is too busy worried about what another nigga doing. That's your problem. You know what I'm saying? You can't get yourself together. You can't do nothing for yourself. That's your main hang up and problem. You can't get yourself together, sucker. You know what I'm saying? Because if you was a real player, you know what? You'll be too busy playing and doing what you doing and needing to do what you do for your life. You'll be taking care of you and yours. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't even have time to be thinking about me if you was a player, so we know you ain't no player. So then what do we care about? If you ain't no player, we don't care about you. Makes sense. You ain't in the game, so what? So who are you? That's how we look at it. I done been recognized by a real famous person, Havoc from Mobb Deep, the rappers, who ain't got no love for Illuminati. Yeah, Havoc from Mobb Deep. He heard my music, everything. Nas, his godfather, when I was in Harlem. Nas the rapper, I met his godfather in Harlem. Rolled me around, got me some Lucy's at the time I was smoking, got me some pizza, everything like that. Listen, buddy, I done passed the sniff test, the smell test. I've been past that. That's why I trip off lame niggas like you, because you think I'm on this BG level where I'm subject to your opinion. I don't care about your opinion. See, in the real world we live in, man, when you got nothing but real niggas and real G's and all of that, it ain't no room to be trying nobody like that BG we need to pass your test. We don't need to pass your test. You need to learn to show respect. See, in some cases, man, this is how people get smoked, because you don't know when it's time to show respect and stop trying to play people like they're a BG, like you testing me. Nah, you just need to show respect. That's it. That's all. Like, you can walk into some places and you can make a mistake of thinking you're going to test this person, but all you can do is just respect this person, which means, I'm not saying bow down. You got to learn to pardon. Respect sometimes is pardon. Right? To merge and to give way. You feel me? That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? You gotta make way, give way. Peace, respect sometimes is pardon. That's what it is. You gotta pardon way. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know how to do that, you a lame. You know, you can't come around trying everybody to think about that. You can't go nowhere trying everybody. Okay then, so what you gonna do? You gotta show respect. You can't be trying people. You can't. I'm too old for you to try me. So then you either get it right on the first time or lose. You get it right on the first time or that's it. That's how the real world is. All that testing, nah, that's little nigga stuff. You don't need to know nothing about me. If you already talking, you already in trouble. I'm with God, man. And see, that's the next conversation. I'm with God. Now you got a whole different problem. You got a whole different problem you can't possibly be equipped for. And, you know, you playing yourself. That's all you're doing. And I'm going to walk away out of this situation. And that's what it is. And ain't nobody going to be able to do nothing. Because I already know the streets is on my side. They already see a girl 7 months old get killed. That's what everybody thinking about. What you thinking about? What a lame nigga think about? The streets got a moment of silence right now in Brooklyn. I already know that because I know how real niggas move, right? The 7-month-old child is making Brooklyn have a moment of silence while lame niggas still out here talking. You see what I'm saying? That's what he worried about me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, when they out there contradicting themselves as a community, ain't nobody's trying to stand up now. That's why we don't respect you. I'm coast to coast with this, buddy. I'm nationwide with this, man. I get respect from coast to coast. I don't care what you feel. I don't care about. I can get nasty. I don't care about how you feel. A lame nigga don't know how to let good enough be left alone. Good enough left alone. Good enough when you don't see me out here doing nothing, right? A lame nigga don't know how to let good enough be left alone. That's why you get your head blowed off all the time. No, nobody don't feel sorry for you. If I was, listen, if I was a sex predator, what you gonna do about it? I'm a real nigga. What you gonna do? Ain't nobody scared of you. What you gonna do? You ain't gonna do nothing, sucker. And that's it. That's what I'm talking about. So I just confront the issue. Okay, if I was, what you gonna do? That's what a real nigga gonna tell you. If I was, what you gonna do? I'm ready now. I don't gotta get ready. I'm ready right now. I'm ready. That's why it feels good to be ready. Feels good to be a real nigga. You know why? Cause listen, I'm ready right now. Yeah, I'm not you. Listen, you not me, and y'all ain't me. I write President Maduro. I done wrote President Maduro. Why he here in Brooklyn? You listen, man. I'm listen. You can't say I'm petty. I done wrote President Maduro, man. Yeah, right here. Why he in Brooklyn? These lame niggas think about that? No. It was an injustice for them to bring President Maduro from Venezuela up here without all the legal rights and everything legally put in place. It wasn't legal. No, it wasn't. I wrote him a letter, let him know everything they do, everything that these people doing, marrying these children and everything. Yeah, I let President Maduro know. I'm hardcore with this, man. I wrote him an 8-page letter. Salute to President Maduro. Listen. I wrote him an 8-page letter, letting him know all this stuff going on. Marrying children in the country, all that stuff, all this stuff. All these Freemasons all around. I let him know everything. President Maduro locked up in here in Brooklyn, he knows everything. Now that's a cue for my cue to leave. Y'all done killed a 7-month-old child. I done wrote President Maduro. You see my rank. You see the rank of Brooklyn. My time to leave. That's my cue right there. That's my cue.